listening to Battlefield Ambience, reposted by Hands Play. There's some contention in the chat about where the origin is. You be the judge. But this is a whole genre of ambient music. If you, I don't know, want to give yourself PTSD while you're sleeping, there you go. I think it's very interesting. Some people would find that soothing. They do. Kind of interesting, but people will get used to. Folks, this is the News Underground. I am Abandoned Nihilism, aka The Harbinger. Welcome back, Zeo Duke, and welcome back, Estonian, on this Sunday afternoon. We are here to talk about the French election, then a follow-up on the debate that we streamed a couple days ago, and then we're going to jump into the Supreme Court, because it's an absolute disaster. Absolute fucking mess, that Supreme Court. They're doing it. They're doing it. All that scary shit cynics have been talking about. Yeah, they're doing it. They're fucking doing it. But let's start off with something fun. French elections are happening, so it's apparently 9 or 10 o'clock over there in France. They just finished round 1. They have a multi-round system. I'm not going to pretend like I know or understand it. So let's get a little update here. I'm going to do a 1.25 for this first chunk, but I'm going to slow it down for Maria Le Pen's speech. I'm not sure if it's a victory speech. I was vaguely watching this while I was doing a bunch of other things, trying to cram as much news in before we do the news. I'm a professional. Never forget that. But yeah, in the middle, we're also going to do a little discussion on just a few smattering, little bits and bobs here. Some world news. We're going to talk about Milei over there in Argentina. George Galloway stuck his foot in his mouth, made it pretty clear. I mean, look, it is. We're going back. We're going backwards. We are now having conversations about the legitimacy of democracy, and we have to defend it. We have to take this shit seriously. This isn't some fucking game anymore. They're going after our rights. They're going after our liberties. It hasn't been a game for some time, but it's getting right down to it. They're starting to disappear. Start slowly, and once the control is secured, once they have full control, then it's all bets are off. Giant douche and turd sandwich going strong. I mean, as fun as that episode is, as accurate as certain parts of that episode is, Trey and Matt Parker have shown time and time again to be politically tone deaf, quite frankly. And their analysis sometimes of the world around them and politically oftentimes has a strange libertarian bent. And I say this quite a bit about people with money, but, I definitely would attribute this to them as well. And congratulations for their success. But their success has allowed them to inoculate themselves from real life. Once you're rich, how much time are you actually putting into reading and understanding? You're sitting at your amazing job where you write these amazing, funny episodes, and you're listening to news? No, you're not. You got to focus on your stuff, and you go live your life. And same thing with Joe Rogan. All headlines and Facebook memes and synopses and, what did this pundit say? Well, okay, my views basically align with this pundit, so I'm just going to repeat what this pundit says. And Matt and Trey Parker fall into that quite a bit, I would say. Welcome back, Trailhead. A Star Wars episode was largely good. No, sometimes they totally nail it. It was interesting how they did the early Al Gore and Bear Pig stuff, making fun of the hyperbolic climate change and making fun of Al Gore, only later to do basically a mea culpa with a later episode saying bringing Man Bear Pig back and doing a whole episode where Al Gore is like, yeah, I'm super serial. Yeah, guess who was right? Guess who was right? Yeah, I'm super serial. So that was very interesting that, that they, at the very least, they once they do dig into topics, once they actually do try to fully understand it, you know, step outside their bubble, they do have the capability to say I was wrong, which is a skill that a grand majority of multimillionaires do not have. All right, but let's get back to it here. We are going to be talking about Kanye West, so look forward to that. Just ever so, you know, quickly. Usual military-industrial complex criticism, then over to the Supreme Court. Okay, but let's get into it. French election right now. Let's just try to blast through this. Debate disaster. Yeah, I was going to start with that stuff, but no. Let's because it just literally dropped like 24 minutes ago. No, it's not a debate. It's elections. All right, folks. By the way, we're listening to Funk Origins over here, Rare Funk. Thank you so much, Rare Funk, for your wonderful music. Stop DMCAing my shit, please. Be nice to me, please.
Election history in the making in France. Massive turnout by voters as President Emmanuel Macron stakes his political future on seeing off a populist challenge from the far right. But his National Rally rival Marine Le Pen could well emerge victorious, leaving Macron significantly weaker.
Quite nuclear family dream phase yet? I don't know. He hasn't apologized for a goddamn thing. That's all I know. So he can fucking fuck off.
Special coverage of the election night in France. The time has just gone 8 p.m. in Paris, and all polls are now closed.
This was about 30 minutes ago.
We're expecting projected results from the French broadcasters any minute now. We'll bring you them as soon as they come in. French President Emmanuel Macron called these elections in response to the far right.
No, Tisriel, the latest news on Kanye is that his ass went to Moscow because of fucking course he did. Dunning-Kruger idiots like him confuse contrarianism with genius or counterculture. So this is right in line with that, right? Well, everyone's hating on Russia. That must mean they're the good guys. Fucking moron.
Its crushing victory in the European parliamentary elections earlier this month. It's been a high-stakes gamble, with opinion polls suggesting Macron's far-right opponents could now win an absolute majority in the National Assembly. Turnout in this first round has been a record high of 69%. That's the highest in over 4 decades.
What?
DW correspondent Lisa Louis joins us from Paris. In France, polling stations are closing. Just tell us what those first numbers are looking like.
Never mind. Never mind.
Well, for now, we only have exit polls and then, results for a dozen overseas departments territories where the far-right National Rally didn't come first. When it comes to the exit polls, national exit polls, it looks like the far-right National Party really came first. Second would be the left-wing alliance.
By right, you don't mean right-wing. You mean correct, as in factually correct.
Nouveau Front Populaire, then on a third position, Emmanuel Macron's party and its allies, and then centre-right party, the Republicans. Now, what this means in terms of seats in the National Assembly is quite difficult to say. This is the first of second, of 2 rounds of voting, and it's a direct vote in 577 voting districts. In many districts and many polling stations, the voting begins like at the one behind me here in northern Paris. People will now try and start to vote, to count the votes, and then feed the results back to the Interior Ministry. So we should know more about the results bit by bit soon over the course of the evening.
Is that 69% voter turnout a surprise to you, Lisa?
So that's the big story. That's the big story for the French election. And sorry, we're doing at 1.25 speed. If you're having a hard time keeping up, let me know. I can slow it down. But I thought, maybe instead of getting bogged down in one subject for 3.5 fucking hours, we could actually get some news crammed in here. But let me know if you're having a hard time. I will slow it down for Marie Le Pen's speech, though.
Well, it's not really a surprise.
I interrupted. The big story is, of course, what she's about to talk about, which is the turnout. 69%, 70%, an amazing, historically high turnout. Macron, this is either a genius move by Macron, or Macron literally, happily putting his head on the guillotine and pulling the cable. Keep it sped up. I have ADHD. Yeah, I know, Gorps. I know. Macaroni cheese, motherfucker over there. You Zoomer ass. You sending your Zoomer army after me? Is that what you're doing? Gorps. I have nightmares because of you. God damn. No, I love you, Corpse. Yes, I am. No, you're a solid dude. And now you're looking like Doctor Who. So big improvement, gotta say.
To you, Lisa?
Well, it's not really a surprise. This seems really a historic election. As one headline put it, France is holding its breath. Everybody I talked to today and also in the past, over the past few days, told me this is really important for us. We need to turn out to vote. Those obviously who were afraid of the far right felt this would be, could be the first time that the far right really comes to power through legislative elections, not through presidential elections. But mind you, if they did get an absolute majority in Parliament, they would be putting forward the Prime Minister. There would be a far-right government with, Emmanuel Macron as a president, and that could really re-steer national politics. Many people here are afraid of that. They know that there is a danger that
She does look like she's standing in front of a green screen, but it's not. It's the lighting, it's the perspective, but holy shit, I just noticed that. It does look like she's looking at it. Wow. But no, she's really standing there. But she's elevated for some reason. The studio, she's got a camera light, look how bright that is right there, pointing right there. Versus it's already pretty well lit naturally, so it's making her stand out like a cardboard cutout. That is fascinating. That's some accidental film school shit right there.
The far right really might come to power. And so, yes, many people here at the polling station today, but also, as I said, over the past few days, have told me it's really important to turn out to vote in this election.
Macron's never been so unpopular. So what's at stake for him here?
Well, absolutely, and
this is a plain donut. Okay, this is a little treat to myself. I don't eat them all day. I bought one. I'm going to enjoy this donut on stream, but you all need to shut the fuck up. I eat one like once a month. Trying to get to Leave me and my stomach alone. I eat one a month. It has no. I know it's sugar. I know it's oil. I know it's bad for me. I get one. Leave me alone.
I think it was some kind of genius idea, according to him at least, to call this snap election. This came right after the EU elections 3 weeks ago, where the far right came first with about 31 percentage points. 8 percentage points higher than in the previous EU election. And Emmanuel Macron felt that he was really losing momentum. That's also what a friend of mine told me. He's working in one of the ministries of the current government. He says, there's just no impetus anymore, and the government felt that they had to relaunch, this presidency. And that was that's what Macron thought he could do through a snap election. But then many actually here in France felt this was really not the right moment, because to do this right after the EU elections, where the far right has an excellent result, is just giving them a platform, paving the way for the far right to maybe gain power now in Parliament. Plus, this is the shortest election campaign in French history, only 3 weeks. They didn't even have time to print posters, to print out the leaflets. People said, it took us unawares. We weren't prepared for this campaign. We couldn't even fight and try to convince voters to vote for us instead of the National Rally.
Lisa Louis there with the latest on those snap parliamentary elections in Paris for us. And let's get some analysis on that. Thibault Madler is a French journalist based here in Berlin. What do you make of the numbers coming through?
Well, the first numbers we hear is that it's fairly coherent to the results of the European elections, really. So Macron's bet that the Rassemblement National vote will decline with this national election didn't really work.
Okay, so that's a really important part. Let's just real quick, one more time. Basically, he's saying Macron gambled, rolled the dice by he called the election right after the EU election, and in kind of a cocky kind of way, like, all right, let's see if the right wing really are popular right at the peak of their popularity, not exactly winning like the whole damn shebang in the European elections there, but having great momentum, great PR. And, that momentum kept going right into this election, a very quick election, 3 weeks. And looks like this gamble has not played out. Let's slow it down just for a couple minutes here. I want to hear what this fella has to say.
Coherent to the results of the European elections, really. So Macron's bet that the Rassemblement National vote will decline with this national election didn't really work. So we hear 34% roughly compared to 31%.
Macron is already center-right. He's not a lefty by any means. This extreme right is once again connected to fascistic, authoritarian ideas, hates immigrants, yada yada. Fill in the blank, right? You've seen them all over the world. Conservative parties, same shit. Xenophobia, right? So we got a problem here.
Which is even a progress, and it's also just twice as much as last national election in 2022. So it's a success for the Rassemblement National, and then we'll see how it turns out in numbers of seats. Really, that's the question for the second round.
Yeah, what sort of government could come out of this, do you think?
Well, we'll see. You hear projections, and then it's hard to tell between 200 and 300 or even more seats for the Rassemblement National, which is close to the majority by 289. The main question now is to see whether...
What? That sounds huge.
We'll see. You hear projections, and then it's hard to tell between 200 and 300 or even more seats for the Rassemblement National, which is close to the majority by 289. The main question now is to see whether Macron...
He was already, he barely won his re-election. Barely. To a blatant right-winger. Changed nothing. Learned nothing. And then was all cocky and like, oh, yeah, everyone fucking loves me. Is that what I'm seeing here?
People candidate or the left-wing candidates will withdraw, and what will be the line chosen by the parties? I think Macron's party and allies will decide on that question tomorrow, and same goes probably for the left-wing party, although some of the parties within the left-wing alliance already said they will support Macron if they come third in these constituencies.
What's the message to Macron here, do you think? You just mentioned the European elections. Is it we don't like you and now we really don't like you at all?
Yeah, it's. I mean, surely there's part of the message is anger at Macron, and for some people at least, what he's done in the last few years, but also for some people more recently, people who supported Macron seem to now support other parties. And what really was Macron's key to success when he came to power in 2017 was, it's forget all old parties, try something new with me, and now is being kicked out by the Rassemblement National, who is trying to say, well, try me.
But do people not like what he did or how he did it?
Yeah, you're right. It's both, really. I mean, it's hard to say that France has been really declining. The economy has been quite resisting in front of, shocks. I think really is the way he uses power and how he presents himself has angered quite a few people.
Okay, Thibault, we'll continue this talk in a moment. Let's just have a look at the first projections.
I mean, a fascist on kick, that's like a frog on a lily pad. You know what I mean? It just makes perfect sense. It's unbelievable you get to strut around on any fucking platform. But I'm going to go ahead and report you under Nazi. Get that removed. Yeah. But isn't that something, though? A fascist on kick? I tell you, it's like a frog on a lily pad.
Coming in from the French broadcaster TF1, and it looks like a sizable win for the far-right National Rally with 34.2% in dark blue. The left-wing New Popular Front Alliance takes 29.1%, shown in red. In yellow, Emmanuel Macron's Together coalition gets 21.5%.
I think.
And in light blue, the centre-right Republicans take 10%. These are the projected results.
Wow. So I believe National Rally is Macron's party. Correct me if I'm wrong. So this is the extreme right wing, I'm told. And I'm sure there's some right wingers. Oh yeah, it's not extreme. It's not extreme. We just want to deport all immigrants, and pass laws to make being gay illegal. And just fill in the blank. I don't know how anti-gay could you be in France? That's just isn't that impossible?
As of 8 p.m. Paris time. So, people, what do you think from those numbers and colours there?
Well, you know, Rassemblement, we've just talked about it at 34%. What may surprise is Macron's camp ensemble with the, I think, 23%, which is almost 10% more than at the European elections. So in that respect, you could argue it's a success for Macron, but you could also, you see also that it's the Macron's party is coming third, which is a mess, really.
OK, we'll have to go over to Marine Le Pen. She's now addressing the crowd.
Strategy, you got to do what you can, right?
Et accueillons ce résultat d'alternance comme une marque de confiance qui nous honore et nous oblige.
We are honored by this
J'ai en
proof
particulier une pensée
of
pour les
trust,
électeurs
and
de
it
la
also
11e
obligates us.
circonscription du
And I'm
Pas-de-Calais.
thinking of the
Failure of
voters
the
of the 11th
neoliberal,
circumscription
you know,
in
centrist,
Pas-de-Calais
right-wing,
who voted me directly.
Pour autant, rien n'est gagné.
Macron.
But nothing has been won yet, and the second round
No,
is
Macron is nothing like Trump. Macron is more like Justin Trudeau. You know, he's more like Barack Obama. Using the language of progressivism while filleting corporate interests, you know, and having, you know, in France, I guess it's a little bit different with his, you know, international support because he doesn't have the massive, you know, military industrial complex that the neoliberals in the United States fillate. You know, most of the stuff that France does is, you know, NATO obligations and, of course, everything that they're doing for Ukraine. They're not exactly, it's not like France is drone bombing Afghanistan at the moment, you know what I mean? So it's a little different there. But this is what I keep talking about. And people, you know, this is why all these lefties keep leaving my channel, you know, in a huff. Because, you know, Joe Biden, Macron, Justin Trudeau, who's another fucking lefty that, you know, didn't really get shit done. But Angela Merkel, was she on the left? You can maybe consider in Germany. But, you know, it's this neoliberal ideology where it's like accept less, allow corporate and, you know, rich oligarchs to do what they want to society, right? And then point to the economy, point to the stock market and say, oh, what do you mean? The economy's doing great. Everyone's, you know, doing great. There's a bunch of $15 an hour jobs for you. Here you go. Employment's through the roof. Yeah, no one and not everyone wants to work at Wendy's, Hillary. It's what I keep talking about. The neoliberals with but here's the thing that neoliberals are best at: destroying progressive momentum, destroying real leftist movements, being that wedge that is dividing and conquering the leftist movement in general. These neoliberals across the world, you know, they have a hard time, you know, fighting with the right because they basically agree with the right on 50, maybe 60% of shit. If you want to be generous, maybe 40. So they're not really good at fighting the right. They kind of, like I said, they kind of fight with one hand tied behind their back. But they're really, really good at destroying actual progressivism wherever they go. And they do need to be targeted. And far too often, you know, the entire millennial generation seems to have learned nothing and are falling back on what the Gen Xers did, which was, okay, yeah, obviously we're not conservatives, we're not going to be right wing, and we're just going to fall back and support the Democrats. You know, and we're not going to, you know, we're going to be, I don't know, scared or frightened. I'm oversimplifying things. But I'm simply saying the reason why the right wing is resurgent is that people have become disillusioned with corporatist neoliberals, centrists, right-leaning centrists, whatever you want to call these people that claim to be left-wing, but are actually incredibly ineffectual. The mayor in Oakland, a great example, perfect example of the current rot of neoliberals who pretend to be progressive to get into office, using the language of progressivism while going, you know, leaning to the right in every action. For far too long, people have refused to pay attention to what the actions of their politicians are. They're not participating civically, and you know, this is all coming to do. We're paying the price. check is due. And their incompetence and their failure and their cowardice and their inability to lead, you know, because what do they do? The same thing with Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau just received a massive walloping in an early election. He said nothing except we are the same goofy ass, soupy ass, motherfucking, saccharine nonsense that comes out of his mouth no matter what you say to him. Hey, what about housing? Oh, well, I work hard for Canadians and the blah, blah, blah with the fucking robotic rhetoric. Does the same thing, doesn't change a fucking thing, right? And what he's doing, he's having little backroom meetings to tweak the messaging once again. And it's the same thing with Macron. No real policy, no real change, no real leadership. They don't really want to go after their rich buddies. They literally hang out with these fucking oligarchs, characters like Macron. So they don't want to tax them more because so we can't pay for anything. That, you know, they can't literally, you know, tax the middle class and lower class anymore. So they're in a rock and a hard place. They can't do shit. Meanwhile, they're promising, you know, emulating the language of progressivism, talking about single payer health care and green reforms and better economies and higher paying jobs. And they have no goddamn intention of making that happen. It's just a fucking game to them. And the check's on the fucking table. We got a bunch of idiots who don't know how to lead. They know how to talk to you in pilloried language. You know, gosh. Oh, we love you. Oh, we're going to do everything we can. Oh, those gosh darn right-wingers are so bad. Meanwhile, stuff in their fucking pockets. And they think they're heroes because they think, well, it's better than full-blown fascism. But like I said, the big problem with these neoliberals all around the world is that they're a bulwark against progressivism, actual progressivism. You know, they're extremely effective at diverting attention, like I said, being that wedge that divides and conquers. Anyway, back to the fucking speech. The original question was, why is the right wing resurgent? Why is the right wing so popular? And it's because this so-called left wing, I identify them as neoliberals, use your own label. It's because they are standing in the way of progress to keep their status quo that gets them fucking fat. Meanwhile, they don't know how to lead. Look at Joe Biden. Motherfucker does not lead.
Going to be
Welcome back, Carl
important
Toes. Welcome back, everybody.
to avoid for the country to fall into the hands of the NUPES too and the anti-Republican, anti-Semitic manifestations of violent groups under Jean-Luc Mélenchon if he were prime minister. Of course, it will also give Jordan Bardella the absolute majority in the National Assembly and launch from the coming week the new unity and national concordance again. Under a democracy, nothing is more normal and healthy than alternating parties in power. The country needs reforms, and we need absolute majority for that. And Jordan Bardella needs to be named prime minister by...
Look, you know, the populist rhetoric sounds good, feels good. Once you lift under the hood, though, what do you see? It's a goddamn hamster wheel. You know, it ain't no V8. Not pumping, 350 horses of fucking raw power. It's a goddamn hamster wheel. That's the usual conservative bullshit, right? Ban this, cut that, give to the rich so they can trickle down, but we never talk about trickle down. But we do talk about how that's going to make things better without a lick of proof. And if the media doesn't like it, we'll buy the media.
President Macron.
I don't know. His name, look, the big room, his name was like Master 99. Seemed like some Nazi shit. Am I wrong? Was that some Nazi shit? If you don't think that was Nazi shit, and the big room, I respect you. If you want me to unban that guy, I thought it was some Nazi shit. I don't know. It was like Master Race 99, right? I thought he was doing some Nazi shit. I don't know. If you want me to unban him, I'll ban him. But fuck, man, I don't have patience for that shit.
Without a clear majority, there's always going to be inertia and other maneuvers to avoid a real alternating power that the country needs. My fellow citizens,
I don't have time for these fucking
please
fascists.
renew your vote.
Suck
if you
my
voted
dick.
for us in the first round, and if you voted for somebody else, please,
And if I
next
get banned for
Sunday,
saying that
vote
tells you
for the
fucking
Coalition
everything,
for
doesn't it?
Freedom, Security and Unity. On Sunday, if you vote for the candidates of the National Union, the country is going to have peace and fraternity again and the energy to be one country.
What does that mean?
In the coming days,
What does that mean?
please beware of those that are afraid, unjustly afraid, and that would just like to have a system that has done his time. No French citizen is going to lose any rights, I can promise you that. On the contrary, their rights will be guaranteed, and if the situation allows it, new rights will be created for everybody. My fellow citizens, on this June 30th, hope lives again, so mobilize to win. Long live the Republic and long live France.
Vive la France! Welcome back, Lenny. Lenny is, of course, the #1 financial contributor to the stream and #1 streamer on Twitch.
Cheers for Marine Le Pen there. And an interesting speech talking about unifying the country. Can the far right be a unifying force in France, Thibault?
Well, it's hard to believe.
No.
I mean, you can clearly see there are 2 or 3 blocks, and the politics of the far right will be polarizing. It's been the message they've had for many years. Obviously, they've tried to polish that message and make it more acceptable to vote for the Rassemblement National. But as you've seen, her last message, Marine Le Pen, was to say no citizen will lose its right, which is quite the contrary to what they've said. They've said, like, that, for instance, that binational people would lose the right to exert some jobs in sensitive areas. We can expect fairly, perhaps violence, but we will see anyway a very strong divide within the society.
There've been warnings of something like that. How would...
Look, we can't use physical violence until we're at war, but would I have a problem with the U.S. president declaring war against fascism? We did it once. Worked out pretty well that first time. So until we get that, let's keep it in the holster. We must politically choke out fascism while we have the opportunity, while we have the levers of democracy in front of us to pull, because they're desperately trying to remove that ability. And there's some states, depending on where you live in the United States, where it's already kind of the reality. No problem, Lenny. Thank you so much for tuning in. From
a second round go down, do you think? Because this, just explain to our viewers how this has to go through these 2 steps.
Well, concretely, you have to have 12.5% within the constituency to go into the next round, which is we'll have many constituencies according to this result with 3 candidates, perhaps 200 or more. Last time in 2022 there were only 8 constituencies with 3 candidates in the second round. That tells you how strong the mobilization is, and it will also tells us also how difficult it will be to project the results. And we'll see then if parties, like what we've just said before, withdraw their candidate, how it turns out. But surely the Rassemblement National is not far from having an absolute majority, and it was her message to the people, give us a real chance to govern. That's what she wants with Jordan Bardella. It wouldn't be Marine Le Pen as a Prime Minister. Jordan Bardella is young.
Thibault, thank you very much. We'll get back to you later in the night as those results begin to come through. Let's first of all take you over to Brussels and apparently stand by for us with the consequences of this result. So what the far-right French Parliament would mean for the first
one, the only, Benny fucking Hill. so much, Benny. That man chased skirts right into the grave.
Those results continue to come through. Let's first of all take you over to Brussels, and Jack Parrick is standing by for us with the consequences of these results. Let us know what a far-right French parliament would mean for Europe, first of all.
Well, I think it would be, firstly, a really big shock for the European Union. There are obviously far-right leaders across some of the EU's 27 member states. But France is such a powerful economy in the EU that having a parliament led by a far-right prime minister would be, firstly, and predominantly, I think, very debilitating for the French president. It would mean that his presidency, the last 2.5 years or so, he would be so severely weakened domestically that it would make it very difficult for him to act with any serious power and weight on the EU platform, basically. When he comes to Brussels, he would really struggle to assert any power. I think, though, from a European perspective, people are looking more into is that if the Rassemblement National, the National Rally, do succeed in that second round next weekend, then there is an expectation from a lot of EU officials that I've spoken to that potentially Marine Le Pen would then try and push for a quick...
But this is weird, the second round? So, I mean, is anyone going to switch a vote? Is there really a possibility that within 1 week, you know, these numbers could be any different? Is there like a whole second round of voting for the same people? I'm so confused how this works.
Snap presidential election, and that would be the real clincher. Not so much the parliament, that would have a big effect, but if there was a far-right president in France, and that would probably, we expect, be Marine Le Pen, if she had managed to force a presidential election off the back of a parliamentary election result, that would be of real concern for the European Union.
A little more complex.
Jack, thank you very much.
Yeah, because surely round one isn't nullified because of the results of round two, so there's some kind of amalgamation of the two, maybe?
Update, sorry to butt in, but the French far left leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon is now...
All right, so we got a response from the lefties. Let's see what they have to say. This is the far left, the Front Populaire.
Now addressing his supporters. Let's listen in.
We have to underline that the considerable progress of voter turnout has happened thanks to massive actions and commitment of our youth and the poorer quarters. I want to solemnly thank the dozens of thousands of men and women that mobilized together with us in order to make that possible. And now we are going towards a second round that is going to exceptionally intense. The country has to decide. Is it going to divide itself even more, to increase social inequalities, religious, skin color, social geographical origins? Or is it going to pull together and be one people that is going to help each other and work for the common welfare without conditions? That is the...
If you win in the first round with over 50%, you get the seat. Boom, locked in. Then in seats where no one got over 50%, do a second vote for those who received more than 15% in the first round. Cool. So you get a second shot. You get a little political momentum. So that's really cool because that allows for breakouts. That allows for people who are like, hey, look at me. Oh, wow, this guy's, you know, he really, you know, he put the feet to the fucking cement, right? And he, you know, pounding the sidewalk there and knocking on doors, got people excited. So people have a second chance to say, oh, hey, people were actually looking at this guy, and he gets to, you know, one more week to make his case, that, or him or her, obviously. So that's actually really neat. Thank you for that context, DJ Shea. Thank you, DJ Shea, and welcome back, DJ Shea over there. I got to play Cyberpunk, though. It's like a really good game. Biggles brown trousers. Sir, your username and your comment literally give me the shivers.
Choice you have for the second round, or else the new Popular Front, or else the National Rally. And under those conditions, we can have no other proposal, we can have no other reasonable request that we can formulate to you. You have to give the absolute majority to the New Popular Front.
Excellent.
It's the only alternative.
Yeah, no, and we're not going to make fun of any of this on the left. Don't do it.
But it's not only...
Looks like a smart guy. That's all I'm going to say. Looks like a really smart guy, actually, on the left.
Not only the fact to vote against or to block a party. It means to vote for another future that respects every human being and every living being. And that is possible. For the second round, the New Popular Front is going to be there
I'm just saying, he
as
looks
a
like a smart guy.
dualist in most cases. Most of the times opposed to the National Rally. And then you can vote direct.
This sucks. This sucks, man. You know, look, maybe it's not the right time to talk about stuff, but I don't know. This is like, you get 3 minutes with the normies if you're lucky. Okay? They got shit going on. All right? They got a lot of stuff going on. You get 3 minutes. Okay? If you're in an opportunity where it's like, okay, I'm going to have the attention of the normies for maybe 30 seconds to maybe 3 minutes if I'm lucky. Tell us what the fuck you're going to do for us. And maybe he has been in a French way, but I don't know. I just feel like go for the jugular immediately and lay it out immediately. And I feel like this is like a lot of words. But maybe that's just because I'm jacked up on caffeine and, you know, I'm like in a million different places right now. Maybe that's me.
For us and give us absolute majority.
Hand the man.
In some cases, 3 candidates remain. And according to our principles and to our constant position in all the previous elections, nowhere we are going to allow the National Rally to win. And that is why, in case that they are first and that we should be third, we are going to retract our candidate.
Okay. And they should be third. You're going to just... Okay. Yeah. I'm all jacked up right
Our
now.
candidate will step down. And under all circumstances, wherever it be, and in any case...
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're saying if it gets down to it and it's you know, and we're in the way and we're allowing the right to have more power than what they should, we will step down, and presumably this momentum will then go to Macron. You know, is that what I'm interpreting here? Am I interpreting this correctly?
We are giving a direct and a clear instruction. No seat for the National Rally.
Yes, okay. Yeah. Okay, so that's what he's doing. He's saying, look, you know, obviously we don't like Macron. We want to replace Macron. We're going to be the better leaders here, but, you know, we're going to be strategic about this. So big props. Okay, look, that was really heady, really wonky, and, you know, but also very important. Okay, so that is a very important thing to say. So maybe I kind of take it back a little bit. Maybe I should shut the fuck up. Maybe I'm not Mr. Politics. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Huh? How about that, jackass? What the idiot over here? Look at this guy. Whoever this idiot. Where's my... Look, it's me. It's me. It's me. I haven't done this in a while. The next right winger that gets in here thinks he's smart. We should play the game, huh? Should play the game, right? All right, we'll do that next time. Time to play the game. Okay, so that's interesting. The left wing here saying, "Look, we're going to side with Macron. We're going to get out of his way. If we become a wall that allows the extreme right to have more power." Okay, so that's good.
We call for a clear and simple intentions.
Hey, Pan the Man, do you want to play a game? Oh, that's right. That was so cool. We got one right away. Pan the Man, do you want to play a game, buddy? Sure. All right, folks. We got ourselves a game. All right. Welcome, Pan the Man. 1 second here. Wait, hold on. Over here. Oh, wrong one. Here we go. One more time. Boom. Welcome, Pan the Man. It's been a long time. First contestant in a long time, folks. It's Are You a Dumbass? Welcome to Are You a Dumbass? Pan the Man. The way it works here, we're going to roll the dice. And depending on what your dice roll is, we are going to pick a card from this game called Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And then you will have, where's my sign? There we go. And then you will have an opportunity to answer it. And if you lose, if you do not answer it correctly, you will be banned. Oh, here we go. Let me just get this dice going here. Get the 6 die. Clear this out. There we go. Congratulations. He got a 4, folks. Grade 4. Grade 4. Here we go. Here's a good one. Perfect. We have a social studies question. Grade 4. Pan the Man. Are you a dumbass? Let's find out here. Second. Here we go. Now, you have 5 seconds to answer this question, okay? Pan the Man. So don't try to look it up, is what I'm trying to tell you. You only have just enough time to type in the chat. You will get called out for it. Ready. Marco Polo was one of the first Europeans to travel on what road to China? Here we go, folks. 3, 4, 5. He got it right. He got it right, but I feel like he looked it up. He had just enough time to look it up. But he did get it right. He technically did get it right with the Silk Road and the man. Okie doke. Well, congratulations. You get to stick around long enough to piss me off again. But go ahead and make another xenophobic, ignorant, right-wing comment, and then I'll time you out. Go ahead and do that. Fill the chat with your ignorant bile. I feel like he looked it up. He had just, you know what I mean? I feel like he looked it up. I feel like he looked it up. All right, let's finish this up here.
All our energies must allow the new Popular Front to realize the new France. We have a long week in front of us. Everybody is going to make up his or her mind and take a decision. And that is going to determine the future of our country and our destiny.
Smell that?
We are calling all of you. Keep a cold head and be convinced. Everybody, every man, every woman needs to take a position and be committed and convince those around you. The future of France is at stake. The Republic is at stake. The idea that we have of our life together is at stake. The polls, like always, are going to change in our favor during the evening.
I mean, this is what bothers me. Leftism is considered radical, but ultimately what it is making people's lives better. Giving people more time, giving people more money, giving people more peace, giving people more in general. How in the hell do you take something so exciting like getting more money at work, or not having to pay for childcare, or not having to pay for health care or college education, and how do you make that into a coma-inducing snooze fest? You know what I mean? It's actually kind of impossible. When I talk about this stuff, I get really fucking pumped. Because it's so great to think that people can, live happier lives. That wealth can be distributed more equitably. Right? It's exciting. Well, you vote in right-wing fascists, I'm sure, because that's the solution, right? Guys that are going to cut taxes for the rich and let your bosses do whatever the hell they want to you, right? Fuck unions. I trust Jeffy, baby. Elon Musk, he doesn't have time for unions. He's too busy innovating. That's the solution. Because certainly you don't want to hear democratic socialism, right? You don't want to hear that, Biggles brown trousers. You don't want to hear democratic socialism, right? You want to hear dictatorial authoritarianism. Get rid of all the brown people we don't like. Some brown people that we do like, they can stay, but other brown people, they're the problem. That kind of shit.
Evening, like always.
Jesus Christ.
And
another
the
frog on a lily pad.
seats that are projected don't really have a value except to exert pressure. But in reality, the future is never written anywhere. And always...
Holy shit. I'm done with you. I'm fucking done with you, bro. Give me a fucking synopsis. Holy shit.
That's the French far-left leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon addressing his supporters, saying it's going to be a busy week in French politics, a lot at stake in the second round. Just bringing us back to this first round, where are we at?
Thank you, Biggle.
Well, what it's trying to tell voters is we can still win in the second round.
I mean, Pan the man, it's just, it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. It's so rote, it's so generic, it's so standard, it's so bog standard. You don't even need to do it, man. Like, you're whatever you're trying to accomplish, Mr. Pan the man, could be accomplished with a robot, with a bot. So you're literally just a massive waste of time. And that's why I do this, because that's the game, isn't it? To get distracted, to get bogged down, to get divided and conquered, right? Repeating this stuff to trigger us. It's not about a contest of ideas. It's not about making people's lives better. It's about slowing the conversation down, dividing and conquering, like I said. And ultimately, removing all the oxygen in the room and filling it with a bunch of nonsense, making it impossible to focus or concentrate on, what we should be concentrating on, the pillars of democratic socialism, right? Making people's lives easier, better wages, better jobs, education, trade schools, things like that. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Society working for the majority of people, and instead of just the few.
We are 29%. The Rassemblement National is 34%. If some of Macron's supporters support us in the second round, we might have a chance. It's a hard bet, and he's putting pressure. He's saying we will withdraw our candidates when we come third in the constituencies. This way, it's putting pressure on Macron's party to also withdraw its candidates when they come third. It might work, but the figures are quite clear in favor.
Hey, Biggles brown trousers. What's the difference between a communist and a democratic socialist?
Of the Rassemblement National, things can really change within a week. So even though we can project seats, we won't know until next Sunday.
Okay, so there you go. We're going to end it right there on the French coverage there. One likes the crumbs of empire. Okay, buddy. Thanks so much. Got ourselves a smart guy. Smart guy in the room. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to our, of course, debate coverage here.
Check the news. It doesn't matter what channel.
That I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way, and I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards.
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds.
Yeah, this is my reaction.
6'4", 200. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf with you if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie, that he's a 6 handicap.
You know, and it kind of sucks because that's actually kind of cool to call him out on it. But, you know, you should be saying that shit, you know, do a special, show up on Good Morning America out of the blue. Oh, we were going to talk about some puppy who has worms coming out of his asshole, but no, this is crazy. Joe Biden's here. And you just walk up and you're like, yeah, look, I got 5 minutes because I'm running the goddamn world over here. But yeah, I just want to let Donald Trump know that I'm happy to play his ass at golf if he's willing to carry his golf bag, because that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be carrying my golf bag. Is that motherfucker going to be carrying his golf bag? And slap like $100 down on the table. And he's like, that's yours if you can beat my ass at golf. Peace. I got to go run the world. That's how you do it. You don't bring this shit up at a fucking debate. You look like a goddamn clown. I was shocked. I was shocked. This is when you, and by the way, this was like 40, 50 minutes in of coma Joe Biden over here, finally waking up and showing a little bit of energy during this exchange. Yeah, strategy. It's not a bad thing to, like, you know, call him out. Sure, do it, but do it in the right format. You know, it's like, I haven't even heard from this guy. There's no fireside chats. There's no bully pulpit. You know, like I said, you could walk into, you know, the modern equivalent of Regis and fucking Kelly. I don't know what the hell's on TV in the morning anymore. You know, but you could walk into any of those stations. They would gladly have you do a quick 5-minute, right, on The View. Show up to The View. Yeah, look, ladies, I love you. You're great. Look, but I just came over here to talk about something real quick, and I'm sorry, but we got to talk about it. He's over here saying he could beat my ass at golf. It's not happening. Okay, bye. Not during the fucking debate, jackass.
Of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to turn.
Let's not act like children.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Trump gets the final dig in, even though, you know, like Trump saying that's hilarious. So this really does accurately kind of, for me, this piece of art, whoever put this together, it might be ABCDENT, yours till the rending of the rocks. But I kind of vibe with this. This feels accurate to me.
The car's on fire, and there's no driver at the wheel. And the sewers are all muddied with 1,000 lonely suicides. And a dark wind blows. The government is corrupt. And we're on so many drugs with the radio on and the curtains drawn. We're trapped in the belly of this horrible machine. And the machine is bleeding to death.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that was fucking... It's depressing, but it look, because this is a very serious moment. And, you know, all the cliches are starting to become really real. You know, slow moving car crash, right? All the world leaders say he's a nasty old man. No one likes him. Joe Biden? Genocide Joe, huh? Right. Okay. Yeah, we don't like tankies here either, Mr. Furry. We don't really dig tankies either. Davey had a nice link here showing the poll results, showing Donald Trump ahead in New Jersey. What's a tanky? One second here, whiskey. There you go. There you go, Kanye West right there, buddy. Good to go. But no, over in New Jersey. So what's the kind of the story that's been going around is the polls coming out of New Jersey showing Donald Trump ahead after the debate. and it's kind of blowing people's minds, and it's kind of making them. Is that the wrong link? Oh, okay, whatever. I don't care. You get the point. Sorry. Thank you, DJ Shay. I don't really care. Like, boy, you got some catching up to do. But no, look, I mean, the whole, all the world leaders say he's a nasty old man. No one likes him. Genocide Joe. Look, do I agree with his support of Zionism? Absolutely not. But this, all the world leaders, that sounds like somebody who thinks BRICS is going to be the next coalition. It's like, can we come back to reality? Because I would like to see projects like BRICS succeed, but you're not going to have projects like BRICS succeed when it's filled with a bunch of corrupt, disgusting dictators and tyrants. That's exactly what BRICS is. Goddamn rogues gallery. World leaders don't say Joe is a nasty old man. That's fucking ridiculous. No, Kanye West. There's plenty of communists who are members of the News Underground. And there's plenty of communists that, there's a really good communist on Twitter, SDL. Great example of a communist who actually has his head screwed on straight. That's not a tankie, that is willing to call out the tankies. Heavily recommend you check out this SDL fella. Soch Dunn left. Not all communists are tankies. But yeah, no, is Joe Biden a war criminal for supporting Israel and the apartheid in the West Bank and the attempted genocide in the Gaza Strip? 100%. Do world leaders think Joe's a bad guy? No. Most of the West basically agrees with what Israel is doing, and they're happy to support the erasure of the Palestinians as long as it happens slowly, incrementally, in the background, not this big bombastic Bibi Netanyahu style, Ben Gvir style. The sad, sick reality is that most world leaders side with Joe. They don't think he's a big, evil, bad guy. I'm not trying to find one leader that likes Joe. Any member of NATO. Macron, I mean, like, likes. What are we talking about? Likes. Are they laughing behind his back like with Donald Trump? No. Not even close. Yeah, Zelensky. Anyway, back to the fuck. You see how they benefit. See how they divide and conquer by distracting and filling and sucking all the oxygen out. We're done. Back to the subject. So the funny story is what happened after the debate. The kind of the hyperbolic reaction we're seeing by the media and by the polls. So here we have some data. Thank you, Davey, for this link out of New Jersey. Trump above Biden, 1%. Generic ballot. So this one has the Democrats ahead. Full ballot. I guess these are local candidates. So that's kind of interesting. No one really buys it because New Jersey is solidly blue, but it is interesting it's even on the table. But it also kind of like I constantly point this out. They're still like doing polls. I think they want to at this point. They want to get these kind of results, but they're doing polls in a way that targets people that are older and not cool, like some of the older members of the News Underground, but are actually super lame, fucking boomers that you can depend on them to vote against their own self-interests and vote fash. Wow, Biggles, you're incredibly obnoxious. Actually, you're definitely left-wing obnoxious, leaning into tanky. Yeah, no, you're really, really obnoxious, dude. And you're like an out and proud furry, which is like, ugh. Quote. So this is an article about the polling. Quote: No one knows anything. Internet befuddled by post-debate poll showing Biden bump. So yeah, it's the polls are all over the place right now. Some polls are showing Biden doing really, really well. What's wrong with the furries? Look, there's nothing wrong. You know, consenting adults, you're allowed to do whatever the hell you want. Consenting adults consent all day. I'm allowed to find it disturbing. Okay? I'm not hating on you. Do whatever you want. Consent all day. Stick your genitals through your extremely expensive costume and have sex with each other in your hot costumes. You do what you got to do. I'm allowed to find it creepy and weird. I'm not hating against it. I'm not supporting any politicians that would ban it. I am not trying to stop it in any way. If I was in the room and two furries started having sex with each other, I would leave. Okay, well, you want to call me the bad guy? Okay. Oh, what? I'm the bad guy, huh? Oh, I'm the bad guy. Oh, yeah. Do whatever you want. I'm just going to be over here playing Super Smash Brothers on the TV that in the small TV in the other room. I'm going to turn it up really loud. But no, so the polls are coming back. If anyone starts having sex in a room. Now, you know, that's not total. I'm going to be a hypocrite on this one. Because if I'm at, like, a Scarlett Johansson birthday party, I'd hang out for a couple minutes. Maybe they won't notice me. I'm just standing there. Now, Scarlett Johansson puts on a furry costume. I'm all kinds of fucked up. Do I stay or do I go now? If I go, there will be trouble. If I stay, there will be double. Wow, Scarlett Johansson. Wow, that's a very elaborate tiger costume you have there. Why is Seth Rogen here? Who invited Seth? I'm his cousin. We're gonna keep repeating that lie until it spreads on the internet, and if someone's gonna update the Wikipedia. Oh no, okay. So real quick, last little bit on the polls. People are very confused. Trump winning, you know, Trump looking good in some places that are totally blue. Biden looking good at some of these other polls. Very strange. People on Twitter are going, "Wow, this is really weird. Nothing's real anymore." Chris Hayes saying shrug emoji. Nothing's real anymore. Thank you, Chris Hayes. Please continue to cash your $100,000 checks for your mediocre multi-million-dollar MSNBC show. So I'm not gonna play this whole thing, but I thought I'd play a little bit of Biden, who now all of a sudden, out of the blue, you know, during the debate, he's talking like this, don't make any sense. I mean, just completely, you know, takes a dump in his pants. But then as soon as he leaves the debate stage, he's like, "Hey, I'm Joe Biden. Hey, everybody. I'm like Dick Van Dyke. I got so much energy in my old age. It's really crazy." Thoughts on RFK? Here's my entire synopsis on RFK. You ready? You ready? The entire thing. This is my entire argument on RFK. Yep. In the water. Yep. In the water. There we go. That's my entire synopsis right there. Hope you enjoyed it.
Joe Biden!
A day after debating his Republican presidential challenger, Donald Trump, U.S. President Joe Biden hit the campaign trail in Raleigh, North Carolina. He was energized when addressing concerns about his age and debate performance.
I don't speak as smoothly as I used to.
Yep, I sure have. I sure have absolutely read all of his nonsense, seen enough of it. I'm sorry, did you? Right? And then another. Yep, and then yep, you go right down the list. Oh, there's another one. There's yep. Wow, and a little on top. Yeah. Nonsense. Waste of time.
I don't debate as well as I used to. And I know how to do this job.
Grifting nonsense.
I know how to get things done. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up.
On the debate
Where was
stage,
this guy? Where were you, dude? Where was this guy? And we're not talking about RFK. Go back to your shithole. Wherever you go, man. Just go back to it. But where was this guy? This was literally 24 hours later.
Get things done. I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up.
Is this the teleprompter? Is that why? Is that he just needed the teleprompter?
On the debate stage, however, Biden's halting and at times incoherent speech was prominent.
This is people watching.
The most salient detail of the evening was Biden's tone of voice, which was faltering and not strong. It was his ability to sort of come up with easy to follow, coherent answers to questions, and he did that half the time. But half the time,
wow, Gree, you're really plugged in. You can totally pay. You actually, you nailed me, man. Yep, that's me. Yeah, if anyone who's watched this show for 5 seconds knows that I'm a big Trump guy. You're so plugged in, man. Why don't you go ahead, declare victory, do a little victory dance. Yep, peck yourself, peck around on the floor like a pigeon, and fucking leave before I kick you out. You're a moron. You're an actual moron. You're standing here with like food on your face and your pants on below your ankles. And you're like, you're a fucking dumbass. As like food falls out of your mouth. Sir, please leave. You're embarrassing yourself. My God. Okay. All right. Here's the door.
Didn't,
Here
and
you
in a
go.
number
This
of
is the
cases,
door, sir.
he lost his train of
Thank
thought.
you for your time,
the
sir.
81-year-old Democratic candidate said he had a sore throat, but concerns about the president's age intensified after the debate. Republican Senator Marco Rubio questioned Biden's capacity to lead.
You have to ask yourself, who's actually making decisions on a daily basis in the White House?
Oh, I see. Biggles, what's the solution to the Ukrainian war? So you're doing all the tanky stuff. We're just going to check every box. Now you're doing Ukraine-Russia defeatism. So what's the solution in Ukraine? How much territory should Ukraine cede over to Putin to create peace? You fucking coward. How much?
White House, because I don't think the person we saw tonight could be involved in the details of government.
Yeah, we need a fascist
Prominent
dictator.
Democratic voices took to social media to vent their
Biggles, I asked you a direct question. I expect a direct answer. What is your solution to creating peace? How much territory does Ukraine need to cede over to the tyrant named Putin to create a peace, as you would call it? Please answer the question directly.
Frustrations. Maria Shriver wrote on X, "There's panic in the Democratic Party." The editorial board of the New York Times wrote that to serve his country, President Biden should leave the race. Unless the president leaves the race voluntarily, he's...
So I actually have that video right there. So you don't believe Ukraine should cede any territory to Russia? You believe Ukraine should push Russia back to its borders and take Crimea back after the theft in 2014? Is that what you believe? That Ukraine should continue to fight for its democracy, defend itself, and push Russia back to its borders, including Crimea? Is that what you're saying? You're saying that's what Ukraine should do, but they're going to lose to the might of the Russian military, and, they're fools to do so, and they'll get stomped. That's what you're saying. Boy, you really do. I nailed you from fucking moment one, man. Hammer and sickle idiot. Soviet Union nostalgic fucking jackass. Right from minute one, man.
Still on track to clinch his party's nomination at the Democratic National Convention in August. But if Biden were to call it quits, among those...
I may or may not take back the jackass. We'll see. You're being intentionally opaque and cryptic, and you're obviously a communist troll that is nostalgic for the empires of old and the authoritarians of the left wing. You're one of those Mao guys, aren't you? And you think Mao was pretty cool? Maybe a Stalin dude? Think Stalin had a good idea? One of those guys? Is that what's going on?
Suggested to replace him is California's Governor Gavin Newsom. His praise for the president, however, didn't waver after Thursday's debate.
You do, don't you? You got a little picture of Stalin or something on your wall, don't you, you fucking idiot? Come on. Look, I'll take back the idiot if you lie to me and tell me you don't have a picture of Stalin or Mao framed anywhere.
This is not about, style. This is about delivering results for the American people. And tonight, I think Joe Biden not only asserted himself, he reminded people of his accomplishments and his vision for the future.
Biden could make a comeback, analysts say.
Usually incumbents in the first round of debates don't do that well because they're not used to talking to rallies.
Negative comments.
I don't know
where you stand. You're very confusing.
We have to wait and see if Biden can rally. Then Biden will come back fighting, and hopefully in another debate in September he will do better.
No, communism is actually a totally legitimate and necessary part of the political conversation right now, because anytime there is a fault with capitalism, anytime there's a deficiency with capitalism, there is almost always a socialist solution to fill that gap. And you've heard me say it before, I'll say it again. I believe in the hybridization of capitalism and socialism until we've created some chimera, right, that we'll call something else maybe in 100 years from now. Right now, we can call it democratic socialism. As it morphs and change, we can change the name if we wish. But I believe that's ultimately the solution is, wherever the deficiencies of capitalism arise, there should be socialist solutions. Why do I believe that? Because that's what we already have, and that's what's already working. We have a totally socialist police system. We have a totally socialist, grade 1 through 12 education system. We have a socialist highway system and bridge system. There are so many examples of socialism being the appropriate response to out of control corporate capitalist exploitation that we can't just cut communism out of the debate like we can with fascism, right? When it comes to fascism, bye-bye. That's gone. Cut that shit out. Put that shit in a fence, put that shit in a camp, etc. Politically. Politically. But no, I don't believe fascist ideology deserves the protection of free speech. And I do believe that it's not a necessary and essential part of the debate. It can be ignored and cut out of the debate. But I don't believe there's any comparison at all to communism when it comes to that. I think the two extremes are capitalism and communism. And of course, once they extend beyond those extremes, we need to talk about, how society can protect against morphing into those extremes.
But by then, it will be too late for the Democrats to select a new candidate. The next presidential debate is scheduled for September 10th and will be hosted by ABC News.
And of course, Mr. Biggles over here, like a true communist, refuses to define what is and isn't communist and instead would like to have a debate about his specific flavor of communism, yada, 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 liberalism, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. Yeah, boy, they love doing that. They love doing that. Let's not talk about a march. Let's not talk about how we could be effective organizers and take down the system. Let's have a big O semantic argument on the definition of terms, right? We can sit around and drink Mountain Dew Baja Blast, eat Crunch Wraps, and talk about the definition of terms, guys. Get her done. So once again, this was, Davey put this clip in the chat. This was literally minutes after the debate. Minutes after... that one clip I showed you. Let me see here. Was it this one? Yeah. So minutes after this.
The car's on fire and there's no driver at the wheel.
Right. And we all, if you watched it live, we experienced this. We experienced this. Right. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? So minutes after this, this guy pops out of his fucking K-hole.
Except he's just a liar. Look, folks, what's going to happen over the next couple of days is they're going to be out there fact-checking all the things he said.
And the fact, I can't think of one thing by the way. We're going to do the fact check.
No, I'm not being facetious. But look, we're going to beat this guy. We need to beat this guy. And I need you in order to beat him. You're the people I'm running for.
This is disgusting. I'm literally going to puke in my fucking mouth. Where the fuck was this guy 6 seconds ago? So here's that first-person view of, look, I mean, this is cool, dude. You know, it's a shame that the Democrats are actually really bad at politics, because they could really, you know, do a lot with this kind of, you know, these kind of interactions and this kind of stuff. But here's the problem with Joe Biden and the neoliberals and the Democrats. They don't want to make promises that they know they're not going to keep. So superficial interactions with the public like this, perfectly fine, humanizes you. That's great. You know, would Joe Biden want to sit down in a room and listen, you know, to the grievances of 50 Americans? You know, oh, I can't pay my bills. I'm working 3 jobs. You know, oh, Joe Biden. Okay, well, I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm just going to smile and make a bunch of, you know, vague promises, but I'm not actually going to do anything about it. He can't sit in a room and do that. But these kind of, you know, like I said, superficial interactions that humanize them, yeah, they can do this all day. This is what they're experts at. But like I said before, the check's on the table. The chickens have come home to roost. You know, the faking and fronting, the pretending to be progressive is you know, people are sick of it because it doesn't work for them. They want what they really want is real progressivism. What they really want is real populism, real socialism. But the right wing is coming in with their populist argument saying, oh, well, the real obvious answer is that we got to get rid of all this specific subset of brown people. We're going to get rid of them. Literally kick them all out of the country, put up a wall. We're going to unleash any restrictions on your boss and allow him to exploit you in fantastic ways you could never imagine. You know, we're going to lower your boss's taxes, and that's somehow going to benefit you. And look, they don't, you know, they don't deliver that message in the way that I just did. They deliver it in, like, you know, moon and the stars. Oh, as soon as we release the chains of regulation on capitalism, it's going to, you know, you're going to, it's assumed. It's never like, oh, that will directly lead to money in your pocket. It's always just kind of like vaguely assumed that if we give oligarchs more power, we give them more ability to exploit, that it will somehow lead to more money in your pocket. Only if you're an oligarch, only if you are in that 1%, 5, 10%, that is actually utilizing this disgusting system to exploit the rest of us. If you're not willing to be that exploiter, Pan the Man, I showed you the door, sir. What are you doing back here? Did you want another ass whooping? Yeah, Milton Friedman. Yeah. Remember when Milton Friedman, wasn't Milton Friedman, right? That was literally sat down in front of Congress and said his entire worldview was incorrect. You remember that moment after the 2008 financial crash? Where he basically said, oh, well, you know, the grand theory that I've assumed my entire life to be true was actually false. You don't remember that part, do you? Yeah, no, I was giving you the opportunity to leave without embarrassing yourself, and then the moment you get back, you're quoting Milton fucking Friedman. Homie, stop. Oh, you don't remember that part, huh? Pan the Man. You don't remember the part where Milton Friedman basically told the world that he was completely full of shit, and that he has no real idea why the 2008 financial crash happened. Because, you know, there was like weeks before he did a whole conference or speech or something about how great the economy was looking, you know, just a few minutes before the 2008 fucking financial crash. He's out there in front of people saying everything's going great. Was it Milton Friedman? Who was it? It was one of those guys. Who was it? Yeah, I don't think it was a Keynesian economist. Who was it? It might have been Freeman. I don't know. We'll get back to that.
She look amazing. Yeah, she does look good.
This superficial.
Hello. There we go. How you doing, sir?
No, you spent too much time in the gym.
So where the hell was this guy? This was hours after the debate, by the way. He hit up a Waffle House, which I can't hate, dude. Chicken and waffles, that's my shit, dude. Chicken and waffles, I love that shit. So the other little bit here is, you know, the mainstream media, MSNBC, going completely bananas. You know, I'm hesitant to call it hyperbolic after seeing the performance myself. It's you know, it's like, shit, man. Is it like, you know, should we switch him out? I don't know. We're going to hear from an expert on this about whether he should or shouldn't. But this is what Gavin Newsom had to say when asked, "Hey, are you gonna tap him out?"
You were out there getting a chorus of questions about whether Biden should step down. There is panic that has set in.
Yeah, Mr. Biggles. Yeah, China really blowing up, huh? China #1, right, Mr. Biggles?
Well, there is panic that has set in among people who have watched this debate, who are Democrats, people who are strategists, and some.
Pan the man, I'm going to go ahead and time you out for another 30 minutes for being incredibly, you know, just really uninteresting. Really kind of, you know, you over here talking about Vivek Ramaswamy, clearing out the deep state. Like I said, you don't really need to be here. You could be a robot. You could be some kind of like, you know, Chat GPT script. Like I don't think there's an original thought in your goddamn mind. I don't want to see unoriginal nonsense in my chat. I want to see interesting comments. I want to see people who actually know what the fuck's going on, who actually are interested in the truth and trying to make people's lives better. I'm not interested in people literally just repeating word for word shit that they heard on fucking Hannity tonight. Oh, well, you know, I heard some right-wing blowhard say some shit without a single goddamn shred of evidence. Let me just go ahead and repeat that in your chat. How about no, Scott? How about no, Scott? How about no? If I wanted to listen to Hannity's opinion, I'd, you know, going to a public bathroom and fucking Roblox is what I would do. And Roblox my ass, huh? Watching Hannity on the phone in a public toilet.
Even inside Democratic campaigns, do you think it's unfounded?
Well, I think it's unhelpful, and I think it's unnecessary. We've got to go in and got to keep our heads high. And as I say, we've got to have the back of this president. You don't turn your back because of one performance.
Dialogue. Perfect.
What kind of party does that? It's been a masterclass. Right. 15.6 million.
This motherfucker is so calculated. And once again, he could actually be he could be a hologram, okay? But no, he's so calculated. He's, you know, this performance that we're seeing here of him, you know, being incredulous to the media about, you know, how dare you even consider that Joe Biden be unfit? We can't, you know, he had a bad night. We got to. This is all about him. Ironically, because if you were a layman, if you weren't actually paying attention to politics, you might think this is him being humble. No, this is exactly what you would do if you want to set yourself up as the guy who's going to step in if a decision is made. After the rise of popular people like Maria, it could possibly go down. But I think a lot of people are discounting, you know, even if the right wing were to, you know, secure majority control in France, the international pressure, you know, they would have to, you know, kind of isolate themselves from a lot of, you know, friendly relationships economically and otherwise with the Western democracies that are still helping Europe. So, you know, they would be cutting back the support, but they wouldn't be able to outright let Putin win. I don't think so, because I do think people are forgetting about the geopolitical pressure that this new right-wing government that might take over would be feeling immediately if they started pulling out of support for Ukraine.
Million jobs. That's 8 times more than the last 3 Republican presidents combined. The only thing the last 3 Republican presidents have in common is recessions. Democrats deliver. This president has delivered. We need to deliver for him at this.
Let me ask, you know, anyone living in America, does it feel like the neoliberals have delivered? Or does it feel like you just hit the plunger on a toilet? Right. And this is, you know, a major problem with Democratic messaging. Right. Things are great. What are you talking about? Look at the economy. A bunch of rich people making more money. You know, it was refreshing to hear Joe Biden proudly talk about raising taxes on the rich during the debate. But I don't think he's got it in him. And I don't think Gavin's got it in him either. They literally hang out with these people. Gavin Newsom's probably close personal friends with Jeff fucking Bezos and Elon Musk. Who are we kidding?
This moment, with all due respect, the more time we start having these conversations, go down these rabbit holes, it's unhelpful to our democracy, our fate and future of this country, the world. They need us right now to step up, and that's exactly what I intend to do.
You were out there getting.
Yeah, big room. No, I mean, look, there's actually the Biden. I've reported on it. There's some big wins from the Biden administration that we don't hear about, that they don't talk about enough. That that gets lost in it because Democrats have ceded the messaging. They've been on the defensive since seemingly the Bush administration era, Bush Senior. I'm sorry, new Bush, not Bush Senior, not the old one. But you know what I mean? The Democrats, the neoliberals have been on the defensive. The entire Obama administration was on the defensive for 8 years, right? It seemed like they were going to be resurgent, seemed like they were going to be out there and on the attack. But nope, they were responding to Republicans the entire 8 years. So this is, I'm not going to be able to show this entire 10-minute interview, but this is interesting. So this, CNN over here talking about how this guy, what's this nuts, Mr. Alan Lichtman, has successfully predicted past presidential election winners based on key characteristics. So kind of seen as a guy who knows what he's talking about. I have my doubts. Did this guy predict Trump? Right? Or was this guy predicting Hillary? They would still have him on if he was stone cold dead wrong about Hillary Trump. So, because they still fuck with 538. What a joke that is. Nate Silver. It was funny. It was, what was it? A debate or was a campaign or something? But Nate Silver has, he was like a big deal celebrity, during the Bernie, 2016 campaign. That now he's like second, third string numbers guy on MSNBC. They'll show him for like 5 seconds. Oh, let's do Nate Silver real quick. Oh, well, here's some numbers. Okay, thanks, Nate. Back over here. It's like, how do you embarrass yourself? It's like the mainstream media bringing back, Bush administration officials and things like that. How do you embarrass yourself like 538 did? And then, mainstream media is still going to you like an expert, and it's like, well, if you're repeating their line, if you've shown that you could be on their air and say the things that they want to say and be trusted, well, Chris Matthews, we can do more interviews with you.
This man has correctly predicted 9 of the last 10 elections using his own.
So that was Trump, right? It was Trump, right? It was 9 of the last 10. He got them all until Trump came along. Politics was way more predictable before Trump came along. It really was. There was a status quo. There was a science to it. Like it was locked down by these two, this duopoly of two parties. They had it locked down, and there was, only like 30% or less of America was even paying attention and participating. And now Trump screwed everything up. And characters like this and Nate Silver over here, who saw the formula, they can no longer predict what's going on. But okay, I bet you it was the Trump one that he's 9 out of 10 of. I bet you.
This man has correctly predicted 9 of the last 10 elections using his own model of 13 criteria. Alan Lichtman is the distinguished professor of history at American University, and he looks at factors including incumbency, the economy, and social unrest. And in April, he was leaning toward Biden winning this election. So let's see where he stands now. Alan, thanks for being here. What's your prediction?
I haven't made a final prediction, but I can tell you a lot about this election. First of all of these pundits and pollsters and analysts that you see on all the cable channels and all the networks have no track record in predicting elections. And yet they come on and they claim they know how this debate is going to affect the outcome of elections. They have no idea. It's sports talk radio. It may be entertaining, but it has no scientific basis.
So what is the impact, you think?
Zero. Debates are not predictive of outcomes. Hillary Clinton won all 3 debates, still lost. John Kerry won all the debates.
Great point about that. Yeah. I remember those debate wins. They didn't really feel like wins. They felt like technical wins, like when a boxer wins with more points, but they're basically both, beaten and bloody.
still lost. Barack Obama got trounced, 72 to 20% in the poll, worse than Biden, and went on.
I forgot about Biden fucking up in the debates. His first one I think was good. I think there was one where he really performed, but there was the other ones were kind of
to win. That's why we rely on the 13 keys which tap into the structure.
I think if we get another debate with Trump and Biden, which I don't know if we will, but if we do get another one, I don't know. Can it get any worse? Short of him keeling over and dying right there on the fucking stage, it really couldn't have gotten worse than that. So really, only way to look is up.
Of how elections really work. And they show that Democrats' really only chance to win, contrary to everything you've heard, is with Biden running. Look at the incumbency key. Yeah. Biden checks that off. The contest key.
No, my prediction after the last debate was that Biden's going to go back into his bunker for safekeeping. It's too scary. He scares the American public. Corn pop! Get him back in there. Jesus Christ.
Checks that off. He was uncontested. It takes 6 keys to count out the White House party.
But
that means
Alan,
of the remaining 11 keys, 6 would have to fall. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Biden doesn't run. They lose the contest key. They lose the incumbency, and only 4 more keys would have to fall.
I think that that's actually kind of what I was trying to get at here, is that the problem right now is that the Democratic Party is considering replacing Biden, mostly because it's unclear whether or not he actually physically can carry out the rest of this campaign and put up a fight against his opponent. So that seems like a fundamentally different thing than some of the items that you have in your rubric.
Yeah,
it's a huge mistake. Yeah. They're not doctors. They don't know whether Biden is
the format. Even though I think it's a good format, but I think it does benefit Gish gallopers, especially if the moderators are just going to sit there stone-faced and just let lies flow like water, out of Trump's mouth without a single rebuttal or pushback. So I think the format really did benefit Gish gallopers, and that the format hurt Biden. Especially in the shape that he was in.
Physically capable of carrying out a second term or not. Remember, a lot of folks were saying the same thing about Ronald Reagan, who was, 73, and age was very different then. And they said, he's not capable of carrying out another term. He won 49 states. So this
all right, yada, 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 wonky shit. If you want the rest of this interview, it's right here. I just thought it was kind of interesting. This guy who's predicted 9 out of 10. But it's, it's different now. All this science, all this is a little chart that he figured out. All this stuff is based off of, in an era back in eras before when politics was more predictable, when politics was less shameless. Nixon, in this modern era of politics, Nixon would have never stepped down. Nixon would have never. He'd be like, I'm going to write it out. We can bluster our way through, lie our way through this. I'll never concede. And if they back me against the wall and they actually start winning and I actually start getting held accountable, we'll change the laws. That's the current plan for the Republican Party. So here's that fact check that I promised. It's a doozy, and I do think this is fair because look, I've been shitting on Biden the entire time, and rightfully so. But that has been shadowing and distracting from Trump's torrent of lies, and it really was just an absolute torrent of lies. Dana Bash and fucking Jake Tapper sat there like mannequins, embarrassing the entire profession of journalism. And they didn't push back on Trump's lies even once. The best that we got out of them was them repeating a question twice, allowing Trump more airtime to lie, and then moving on to the next question. Oh, they also, made sure to stop Biden, interrupt Biden at key moments as well. But that was probably just because he was rambling. But no, here's the fact check here. Because CNN promised a fact check. They didn't specify when the fact check was going to happen. Apparently, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but if I heard this correctly, there was some last minute complaints from the Trump administration about the fact checking, and then CNN agreed to do the fact checking after the debate. So this aired about an hour and a half after the debate, well after 99.9% of people have turned this off. But here we go. Here's the fact check about the torrent of lies. But it, in this post-truth politics, it doesn't really matter. And that's once again, that's what makes one of the things that makes the DNC so bad at politics. They're always responding. They're never in front. They're never on the attack. And that's always been the case. And it really does seem the media, I don't know if they do this intentionally or not, but they buttress that.
The Trump list, it is way, way longer. So deep breath. He said some Democratic states allow people to execute babies after birth, an egregious lie that is illegal in every state. He said everybody, even Democrats, wanted Roe v. Wade overturned. Roe was supported by 2/3 of Americans, even more.
That was such a ridiculous lie. Even Joe Biden laughed, but of course he didn't say anything when it was his time.
Democrats, he said
He just said, can you believe this guy? Can you believe it? Or whatever the hell he said. He kept saying it over and over, the nerve or whatever. Over and over again. But I think he was like, he wasn't, he couldn't remember what he was responding to. So he just used a generic term. I don't know.
Every legal scholar wanted Roe overturned, abortion returned to the states. Legal scholars have told me directly this is not true. He said the U.S. currently has the biggest budget deficit ever. No, that happened under Trump in 2020. He said the U.S. currently has a record trade deficit with China. That also happened under Trump in 2018. He said Biden personally gets a lot of money from China. Zero evidence of this. He said there were no terror attacks during his presidency. In fact, there were multiple attacks. He said Iran didn't fund Hamas, Hezbollah, other terror groups.
All those feelings you have when you have a conversation with a Trump supporter, when they start saying, the economy was good and there was no war and everything was great and things were really blowing up and, in a good way and things were just so great. And you're like, well, man, I don't know every single fact. I'm not an encyclopedia. It doesn't really matter, because even if you were an encyclopedia, even if you had this list in front of you and you said, look, he lied about every single one of these things. This fact checker went through. He's got sources for each one of those things, right? I'm sure he posted it somewhere. Here's this lie, and here's the source for that. Here's the proof for that. Does not matter. It does not matter. And we need to recognize that there are people in our democracy where there is no convincing with facts. There is no debating with information. This is not a battle of ideas. It is a battle of feelings. And yes, it's beyond ironic that, Ben Shapiro, right-wing bad actor, came up with that slogan, but that it really goes back to the projection of Republicans and conservatives in general. Everything a conservative rallies against, they themselves participate in or want to participate in. So if they talk about the deep state, they want to be the deep state. And look at Project 2025. They talk about, protect the kids. No, they actually want to harm the kids. Look at what they do, with child labor and increasing child marriage, making that legal. Look it up. It's happening. Every accusation is a admittance of guilt from a conservative. Are the left innocent and the left are so great? No, of course not. But there is a clear difference here. And look, all you need to do is look at this list here, right? Like I said, these are fact check. This guy went through with a fine. He took the time. He was paid to do it by CNN, took the time, and he did that thing that nobody has time to do, recorded the entire Gish Gallop, went through word by word. Okay, this was a lie. This was a lie. This was a lie, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to reassure you, because the gaslighting is so consistent and the gaslighting is so profuse. It's all over. It's constant. It starts to affect you. And you're on the left. You're like, I don't know. Maybe the economy was good in the Trump era. I don't know. Maybe he did do a better job with COVID. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't have time to look all this shit up. Well, this nerd did. And guess what? Your gut feeling was correct. They're full of shit. They're pro-authoritarian, fascistic tyrants. They don't know what they're talking about, the supporters of these people. They lie to themselves. Number one, that's the first person they lie to is themselves, and then they lie to everybody else, and they do it with utter and sheer confidence. So just feel a little bit better about fighting this. feel a little bit more confident that you on the left have the moral high ground, that you are correct in pushing back against this. Because that's step one, is that gaslighting, is that, I don't know, maybe the economy was great. You can't doubt yourself.
Under his presidency, Iran, in fact, did. He said Biden wants to quadruple people's taxes. That is pure fiction. He said the U.S. has provided way more aid to Ukraine than Europe had. It's actually the opposite.
Sounds
he
familiar.
said the U.S. has provided about $200 billion in Ukraine aid. It's closer to $110 billion.
Well,
he said 18 or 19 million people have crossed the border under Biden. That is millions too high. He said many of these migrants are from prisons or mental institutions. His own campaign cannot corroborate this. He said Biden has only created jobs for illegal immigrants. Total nonsense. He said Nancy Pelosi turned down his offer of 10,000 National Guard troops on January 6th. There's no evidence she even got such an offer.
It
was
so
the
ridiculous.
president, not Pelosi, who had the power to deploy the D.C. Guard. He said Pelosi now acknowledges she turned down the troops. No, her office tells me this claim is still a lie.
Totally
he said he
ridiculous.
deployed the National Guard to Minneapolis in 2020. Actually, that was the Democratic governor. He spoke of, quote, ridiculous fraud in the 2020 election. Zero evidence of any widespread fraud. He said NATO was going out of business before he took office. Completely, clearly absurd. He said the U.S. was paying 100% of NATO before he came along. The U.S. made up about 71% of NATO defense spending, not 100. He said he, not Biden, is the one who lowered insulin prices in Medicare. He did it for some seniors, but Biden did it for far more. He said Biden indicted him. Again, no evidence Biden has had a personal role in any of these four prosecutions. He said Europe takes no U.S. cars, just not true. He spoke of food prices quadrupling under Biden. That's a wild exaggeration, though they are up. He said Biden made up the idea he called dead service members suckers and losers. No, the Atlantic magazine reported that, and then former Trump Chief of Staff John Kelly corroborated it. He said Biden called black people, quote, super predators for 10 years. Biden never once deployed that phrase, let alone for 10 years, though he did at least once speak of, quote, predators without specifying it was about black people. He said his Trump tax cut was the largest in U.S. history. Not true, though, in fairness, Biden also said this. Trump said China and others stopped buying from Iran under him. China never stopped. He revived his pet lie. I don't know how many times I've done it, that he signed the Veterans Choice Program into law. Barack Obama did that in 2014. Trump signed an expanded version.
Ironic, right? Ironic, because it's really easy to say, oh, they're dumb, they're stupid. But no, the reasons why the right wing vote against their own self-interest and support authoritarian fascism, and it's extremely complicated. It's multifaceted and multi-tiered, but we don't need to get bogged down in any of that. All we need to know is that we need to defeat them. They don't know what they're talking about. They're straight up wrong. They will destroy us all and each other. They cannot be trusted. Yes, some free speech. Everyone deserves free speech. Everyone has an opinion. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one. But the adults in the room do need to take control. It's gotten completely out of hand. And yes, when the right wing get in control, they I don't know how many fucking times in history we need to repeat this. I don't know how many times that we need to learn this lesson.
In 2018. And finally, Trump said Biden got rid of that veterans program. Biden has not done that.
There you go. There's the list of lies. And once again, remember, when you're talking to the right wing, when you're starting to feel gaslit, remember, you actually have the moral authority here. Not these pious hypocrites on the right. So, you know, we were talking to a well-loved and respected member of the News Underground about incompatible cultures a couple streams ago. So I wanted to show this here. So we're moving on to the next topic here. We're just going to do some world news. And I was pointing out that this point of view is xenophobic and bigoted. And it basically says certain people are less human than others. And I thought this image was really interesting because we've been seeing this template go around on social media right now, showing this lily white, virginal white girl crying, basically crying at the degradation. Of course, it's AI, right? But crying at the degradation of society as all these dirty, strange, weird brown people surround her, right? The visual representation of incompatible culture. What's interesting to me is that this has become a template. As we can see, this is in Turkey, I believe. This is Turkish nationalists And what's interesting is that this, unchanged, you don't need to change a single thing. You just need to change the flag that she's wearing, and it's all the same. And the reason why it's all the same, no matter what culture it is that this point of view is based in ignorance, in human ignorance. So wherever ignorance exists, this mentality will exist, right? Of incompatible cultures, the great replacement. Let's ignore the fact that we're all human beings. We're all human beings. We all want the same goddamn thing at the end of the day. We want peace. We want security. We want a happy family, happy life. We want to feel fulfilled in our hobbies and our endeavors and our job. Same shit. Doesn't matter where. Doesn't matter the color. I think it's just rather interesting that wherever ignorance festers, these ideas fester, regardless of, like I said, religion, color, creed. It's ignorance. That's the problem, not other races, other cultures. The entire concept of incompatible cultures is xenophobic at its core. So I thought this was interesting because this image, she was wearing the American flag or the UK flag or something like that. And this is just, they don't change a single thing. They just change the flag that she's wearing on her shirt, right? The ethnicity, the white hair, the color, right? Because in some cultures, it's the other way around, right? With a bunch of you could some lefties describe certain places in Africa like this, but inverted, right? With a bunch of white people. And then, a single black person there. Oh, look at the gentrification, which gentrification is real. It's more complicated. But I'm just trying to say it's looking at real problems through the lens of ignorance. Because we can't just allow uncontrolled migration. We can't have a situation where there's no borders. We're not really at that stage yet. In human society. Where that can work. There does need to be rules. There does need to be limitations. I thought this was interesting, right? That this template has been coming up after our conversation about incompatible cultures and how disgusting and xenophobic that entire concept is. So we already talked about France. I found this tweet here to be interesting. Let me just turn the tunage down just a touch. Found this tweet to be interesting. We want to live our lives without being hated or bombed. Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I found this tweet to be interesting. I'm reading all your comments, folks. I'm not able to. Nicholas, welcome back. Welcome back, ROB, by the way. I'm not able to read every single one out loud, but I am reading your comments. Thank you so much for viewing and for participating in the News Underground. I do appreciate it. You guys are the real heroes. That's true. You're heroes for viewing my stream. Heroes. You get a cookie and a medal. All right, so no, back to this over here, world news. So we've been following what's happening in Argentina. Milei, however you want to say it. I'm sure there's a correct way of saying it that I'm not saying. But no, he promised this. He promised, I'm going to crash the economy. I'm gonna wreck everything. I'm Miley Cyrus in her slut era. I'm a wrecking ball. Watch out, Thor's brother. Right? Weren't they dating? I always think it's funny that Alanis Morissette, that Jagged Little Pill album, she was in love with that comedian, that corny ass comedian from Full House. The guy's like a cartoon. He makes a bunch of cartoon funny noises, and Alanis Morissette was like, "You fucking left me!" Ah! Anyway, back to Argentina here. We've been following this. Milei, famously with a chainsaw, saying, we're gonna destroy the old way, the old left-wing way, the old neoliberal way. And let's be real, the austerity, the way that I don't know if you want to call them neoliberals, whatever you want to call the left-wing contingent, they were extremely corrupt. They were not fixing the problems. This right-wing, extreme right-wing, libertarian, anarcho-capitalist came in promising, look, we're going to get us on the dollar. We're going to change things up. And to be fair, on paper, some of these ideas, not so crazy. What's crazy is you're going to ram them up the country, like a, it's not going to feel good. It's too quick. There's no lube. You know what I mean? Just going crazy. Up to the elbow. Happening too damn quick. Of course, Elon Musk thinks this is great. So this is, end wokeness, right-wing, stochastic terrorist, end wokeness. Holy shit, Argentina just elected Javier Milei as the next president. History has been made today. Prosperity is ahead for Argentina. So the usual bad actors cheering on this move from an, like I said, anarcho-capitalist that has kept his promise. The economy is completely destroyed. And get this, he doesn't even have the power to, to do a lot of the big changes that he promised. So he made it just like a right-wing populist does, makes a lot of promises, knocks down a couple walls in your house, and then is like, I don't know how to build walls. You know how to build walls? I mean, I knocked the fuck out of your walls. We got no kitchen. We got no living room. It's basically just a big wide space filled with debris. I don't know how to clean either. I can't clean. I don't clean. my nanny cleaned. But do you know how to build? I don't know how to build a single wall in this house. If you get the metaphor. So here's the current state of the Argentinian economy. Literally out of the grapes of wrath. What you are seeing is produce that no one has the money to buy. And what happens to produce, and if you don't have the money, if they're not going to make a profit from it, they have to destroy it. Even though it's food, even though if you can't sell it for 50 cents, an orange, you should give it away before it spoils. That's the moral thing to do. They can't do that. That'll hurt the market. And you heard me mention the grapes of wrath, and I thought this was so amazing. Someone put the entire thing in here, and this is it. This perfectly explains the situation. It was happening then, and it's happening now. Listen to this. Quote from John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath. Stick with me here. These are beautiful words. The works of the roots of the vines of the trees must be destroyed to keep up the price. And this is the saddest, bitterest thing of all. Carloads of oranges dumped on the ground. The people came for miles to take the fruit, but this could not be. How would they buy oranges at 20 cents a dozen if they could drive out and pick them up? And men with horses squirt kerosene on the oranges, and they are angry at the crime. Angry at the people who have come to take the fruit. 1 million people hungry, needing the fruit, and kerosene sprayed over the golden mountains. And the smell of rot fills the country. Burn coffee for fuel in the ships. Burn corn to keep warm. It makes a hot fire. Dump potatoes in the river and place guards along the banks to keep the hungry people from fishing them out. Slaughter the pigs and bury them, and let the putrescence drip down into the earth. Talking about how, look, we can't give this away. That'll destroy the market. No one's going to buy it if we're giving it away. We have to let people starve so that people become desperate enough to buy to keep the market moving, or else I go out of business. It makes sense from a business perspective. It makes sense to waste this food. There is a crime here that goes beyond denunciation. There is a sorrow here that weeping cannot symbolize. There is a failure here that topples all our success. The fertile earth, the straight tree rows, the sturdy trunks, and the ripe fruit. And children dying a pellagra must die because a profit cannot be taken from an orange. And coroners must fill in the certificate, died of malnutrition, because the food must rot. Must be forced to rot. The people come with nets to fish for potatoes in the river, and the guards hold them back. They come in rattling cars to get the dumped oranges, but the kerosene is sprayed. And they stand still and watch the potatoes float by. Listen to the screaming pigs being killed in a ditch and covered with quicklime. Watch the mountains of oranges slop down into the putrefying ooze. And in the eyes of the people, there is the failure. And in the eyes of the hungry, there is a growing wrath. In the souls of the people, the grapes of wrath are filling and growing heavy. Growing heavy for the vintage. You see, stuff like this, when people are starving and they see it happening and they know it's happening, their grapes, their body, their soul fill with wrath, like grapes on a vine, slowly growing, ready to be harvested. That harvest is, of course, violent revolution. And that's what anarcho-capitalists have to offer us. Chaos. They think they'll be up top. They know it's going to be chaos. Ask your favorite libertarian how bad things are going to be if they get what they want. They smirk and smile because they know it's going to lead to death. It's going to lead to tribalism. It's going to lead to just a full-blown anarchy for a little while. But they're okay with that because they think they're going to be at the top of that hierarchy. Every one of them, the most disgusting, pathetic, weak, cowardly libertarian you know, and they're all like it. They all fit that fucking archetype. Weak little cowards who want to push people around with the weight of their wealth. They think they'll be at the very top. They think they're going to be Master Blaster. Not the, little monster he's got crawling around him, Yes, master, with a fucking chain. That's Nick Fuentes' future. He thinks he's going to be Master Blaster with the fucking, with the muscles. Not exactly, Nick. Moving on to the next story here. George Galloway, piece of shit, absolute piece of crap. I forgot I didn't have this image posted up here. 1 second. Let me just get this. This is the last day of Pride Month. Congratulations, gay people for existing, but also for resisting the ignorance. See here, where is it? Rainbow flag. There it is. The ignorance and the xenophobia and the attempt to weaponize homosexuality into a disgusting caricature so that they can use it politically, right? Saying basically what they're trying to do is say every gay person is a fucking pedophile. And then they go, well, yeah, we want to end pedophilia. Don't you want to end pedophilia? Yeah, of course we do. But why are you disingenuously defining every gay person as a pedophile? Well, I got some study or something, I got my opinion and my gut feels bad. I'm really uncomfortable around gay people when my son's in the room. So, that's 1 + 1 = 2 to me. Great. So you can just, completely marginalize, millions of people, slander millions of people, millions of good people as pedophiles because it benefits your little goofy politics. Yeah, well, I'm a cynical guy, so. Anyway, enough straw manning. Galloway over here on Piers Morgan, which has just been a total cavalcade. Motherfucker over here quoting Joseph Peterson. I mean, 3 strikes and you're out, Pan the Man. 3 strikes and you're out, man. I don't take you seriously. I don't take your talking points seriously. You don't take yourself seriously. You're literally you're a cipher. You're literally just a mouthpiece for the talking heads that you respect, and you put it upon yourself. It's your job to come into leftist spaces and repeat this nonsense ad nauseum. I could nail you to the wall. I could prove everything Jordan Peterson has said wrong. Doesn't matter. You're still going to repeat it. Doesn't matter how many facts or links or whatever. I could spend 3 hours debating with you about the legitimacy of Jordan Peterson. You'll sleep like a baby, having 0 opinions changed. An infinite amount of time wasted. Thanks, but no thanks. With your generic bumper sticker slogans, as a very smart person in the chat put it. Welcome back, Vizon. So goodbye. 3 strikes and you're out. I tried. We gave him fucking 3 timeouts. We even played the goddamn game with him. And he looked it up. Come on, he typed that in. He didn't know it was the Silk Road. All right, anyway, back to George Galloway, who is a turf and ignorant fool, a useful idiot, and also a cynical grifter. You can never really tell, right? Because you can't look into the hearts of men, right? You can't look into their mind. You can't really tell how they feel, where they stand. But it's always hard to tell, like, how much of this is useful idiot, he actually believes it, and he's just a useful idiot, versus is this guy a politically cynical, and he knows if he repeats these messages, if he dog whistles in a certain way, he gets to be on TV, he gets to be interviewed as a pseudo expert or as someone who represents, a part of this movement, and you get to cash in. There's a lot of money in this grifter space, and you can Russell Brand your way into a pseudo career, and the money can keep flowing. It's always hard to tell, like I said, you can never really tell. So there's really not much point in debating too long just for entertainment purposes, sure. So that's what I'm trying to say here. I don't know how much of this he actually believes versus how much he's pandering. Doesn't really matter. He's an ignorant fool. So listen to him and his opinions on Ukraine, and you'll see what I mean here.
Yeah. You're ready to send your children to war to decide which side of a line.
Sorry, we'll get this, talking about the Ukraine war, we'll get this repeated here.
Yeah. You're ready to send your children to war to decide which side of a line Kupiansk lies when it's been in 4 countries in 100 years. I'm not. I'm prepared to die to defend Tunbridge Wells. You may be surprised.
So you're prepared to die to defend sovereign democracy?
I'm a British.
Just not if it's not here.
I'm a British politician, and I will die to defend Britain and its legitimate.
What if he invaded France or Germany?
I wouldn't die for Macron or Schultz.
So only here?
Only here.
You'd only die for here?
I think that we have a duty to defend the interests of our own people.
And no duty to defend democracy?
Our own. But what's democratic?
Master Meatball, I'm doing a little look myself, and yeah, maybe I should be a little bit more critical of my Twitter links there. I'm not finding much either. I might be wrong in that reporting. Certainly not wrong with the John Steinbeck. But yeah, I'm doing a little look myself. I'm trying to back that up. Not really finding much. Might have successfully called me out on that one.
About what we have. This democracy you talk of is a farce. Trump versus Biden, that's your democracy? You want me to die for that? That democracy is a farce.
So listen to that. Listen to these traitors and listen to that bad actor right there, right? I fight and die for democracy. Not if it's going to not if people that I disagree with get free speech. The authoritarian right-wing mindset.
It's a farce when people who need $1.5 billion even to run against the incumbent president, that is inherently farcical. When it is 2 octogenarians, one pooing his pants in front of the Pope, the other from behind bars in a cell for paying a hooker money, hush money, out of his company accounts, that's democracy.
Well, she wasn't a prostitute. Stormy Daniels wasn't a prostitute. She was an entertainer.
An adult entertainer.
They're different.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think Meatball's got me on that one. I'm not finding much evidence of that. But let's go ahead. Let's find another clip, because I appreciate being called out. I don't want to spread misinformation. So let's go ahead. And let's do an Argentinian economy update. Let's see here. We got 9 months ago. No, here we go. Joe Blogs. No, not very interesting. 2 months ago, 2 weeks ago from Al Jazeera. Economic turmoil. I mean, there's a lot of evidence here. I've been covering this for quite a bit, but I don't want to spread misinformation about oranges. Because, yeah, when I was looking it up online, I was running into the same information that that's normal farming, that there isn't any specifics with oranges. So I don't like to spread misinformation. I like to be called out on it. Let's try to find some current information here. I think I would prefer to not do an Al Jazeera for obvious reasons. Wait, why did I go live? No, I don't want live. I want today. Let's try to get something today. Wow, pathetic. Really? That's all we got? Okay, this week. What is this? Are these all filters being applied? Let's come on, baby. Come on, YouTube. Why you got to embarrass daddy? Here we go. Benny Johnson. Yeah, okay. Well, he's a good actor. Argentina's Trump. Miracle. So Benny Johnson. By the way, Benny Johnson, smiles and smirks at the idea of a Christo-fascist theocracy running America, and he thinks it's really cool if that were to happen, because then we could go after lefties with violence and force them to be Christians. This is the kind of shit that he talks about on the daily. Javier Milei, economic miracle, 0% inflation after firing 70,000 government employees. So that's what he's reporting on. Very interesting. Of course, everyone else saying this is a total disaster. But I'm sure Benny, he knows what he's talking about, right? I'm sure he knows what's going on. How is Argentina faring under Javier Milei? Global business. All right, we'll go ahead. We're going to have to do the Al Jazeera. I'm sorry. There is a BBC report about the poor searching for food in dumps. I've not fully read, but this happens in other countries also. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't make it a good thing. I'm sure you would agree, Mr. Meatball.
Al Jazeera Podcasts.
So this is only 24 hours old here.
Today, a crucial vote in Argentina.
Many people refer to this omnibus bill as trying to pass an elephant through a door.
With more radical economic reforms on the way, how ordinary people have experienced 6 months of President Javier Milei. I'm Malika Bilal, and this is The Take.
Just going to do a couple minutes of this here, and I'm doing this mainly because I don't want to embarrass myself by spreading misinformation.
For months now, Argentinians have been taking to the streets to protest.
I am a retired teacher, and I do not want to be the last generation of retirees in my family. I want my sister, who is a doctor, to be able to retire. My niece, who is a student, and my daughters.
That bothers me how easily I was duped by Twitter. I haven't been on Twitter in a couple months, and then I come back to it, and I already feel my mental health reducing, and I'm already spreading misinformation. Interesting.
Who are professionals.
Yeah, we covered that already, Dave.
They will not be able to retire if the pension package passes today.
The protests have all been leading up to a vote happening in their parliament on a huge package of economic reforms. It's part of President Javier Milei's grand plan to transform Argentina.
He's a libertarian and anarcho-capitalist who has literally said in many interviews that he is a mole.
I love it. I love being the mole in the state.
Yeah, he does talk like that. He sounds like Grover from Sesame Street.
I'm the one who destroys the state from within. It's like having infiltrated enemy lines.
Yeah. That is going to destroy the Argentine.
All right, well, I definitely killed it with the John Steinbeck there, but I did not kill it by spreading misinformation. I'm going to go ahead and call it. I was spreading misinformation. I can find no evidence of Argentinian orange farmers dumping oranges because they cannot sell them. Does that mean everything's hunky-dory in Argentina? Absolutely not. Does that mean we need to do a special 1-hour special on Argentina coming up in the next stream? Yes, it does. And we will be doing that to make up for my ridiculous reporting. I should be more careful. And thank you, big props to Master Meatball for calling me out on that. Thank you. Looking me up and calling me out. Appreciate it. All right, so we will get back to that. We were talking about Galloway here. So when it comes to defending the Ukrainian democracy, bad actors like George Galloway say, that's not a democracy I'm willing to die for. So shamelessness, writ large, shamelessness brought, right to the forefront here. I guess if we're going to talk about legitimate democracies, I guess George Galloway is saying Russia is more legitimate than Ukraine. Pretty goddamn ridiculous what these people will say to defend their toxic worldview. And I think when it comes to George Galloway, I think I'm more willing to say that he's more of a self-aware, cynical, bad actor, that he knows what he's a useful idiot for a certain narrative. I don't know how much of a true believer he really is. I really get the feeling of cynicism from him, but then again, that's just a feeling. Anyway, moving on. Did promise that we're going to talk about this idiot ever so briefly, but thank you, Chem Goblin, for this link in the Discord. Rapper Kanye West came to Moscow, so I was kind of hinting at, the main reason why I want to show this is, characters like Kanye West who are idiots. They're dumb. They're not smart. Okay, very talented, person who can make music, but we see this in the world all the time. Talented brain surgeon, full-blown MAGA, he's a genius when it comes to, what he's doing, what he's into. But then, he's not really paying attention to the rest of anything, or scatterbrained in some cases. So human beings are like that. Kanye West has not apologized for any of his statements. I mean, maybe in a superficial way. I don't want to lose the money train. Please, Adidas, don't. Cancel my contract kind of way. We've seen half-hearted apologies, but he's never really said, I'm sorry about my, my previous comments on I Love Hitler. I'm sorry about my previous comments on the history of slavery, etc., etc. He's never apologized for any of that. So the main characteristic of characters like Kanye West, who are, pampered multimillionaires, is that they confuse contrarianism with being clever. It's kind of, for them, it's kind of a shortcut. Kanye West ultimately knows he's kind of a dum-dum. But, hey, if I'm a contrarian, I get to emulate the appearance of intellectualism. I get to, I have an opinion. Oh, everyone's dumping on Russia. The mainstream's dumping on Russia. Oh, well, we know who runs the mainstream media. We know who runs that. Just asking questions, by the way. But we know who runs the media. So, maybe Russia good? Maybe Russia good. Because everyone don't like Russia. Kanye, would you like to sit down for 45 minutes and watch a documentary on the history of Russia, maybe in Chechnya, in Georgia? Maybe we can go over how, Russia, has treated the Caucasus, and no. I saw a 30-second TikTok. I saw of Tucker Carlson talking about how wasteful and ridiculous it is to spend all this money in Ukraine. I'm good. Oh, you don't want long form information giving you, sources and, rich information about the topic that you're talking about? No, I had an expert condense that information and present me the most important parts on my favorite social media of choice. I don't need to really look into it. I can trust that Tucker Carlson is giving me the straight dope. Because, I mean, when he talks, it sounds good. It feels good. He's saying the things that I want to hear. So it feels good. So it must be right. You see how you can slip into that? So this news really doesn't surprise me one bit, that Kanye West is hanging out with, in Moscow. Like I said, it's all about the information you choose to consume. If Mr. West decided to do a little digging into the crimes of the Russian Empire, he might see that it's not the best idea to support a legitimate tyrant. Didn't Dennis Rodman do that with Kim Jong-un? Right? Didn't Dennis Rodman? I know Steven Seagal made trips. But wasn't there a thing with Dennis Rodman? There was like, is Dennis Rodman an ambassador for the United States? Was that Dennis Rodman hanging out in North Korea? Yeah, so that's all I had to say about this news. Thank you, Chem Goblin. He went there to celebrate his birthday. I guess so. The designer of his ugly ass clothes is Russian, which makes sense now. Yeah, so this Russian dude's been the head of design But the ugliest sin clothing you can blame Russia for. The man dresses like a homeless man who got into cubism. It's bizarre, his quote unquote fashion style. Yeah, so there's some videos of him. Here he is, hanging out, whatever. What the fuck ever. This doesn't really surprise me. Once again, I implore Kanye West to apologize for his Hitler's not so bad comments and for his comments on TMZ about racism or slavery being a choice. Look it up. Look it up. That one I know I'm not fucking making up, Mr. Meatball, if you're still here. I'm not making that one up. I remember them on TMZ because there was the white guy and the black guy there on TMZ, right? The guy with the dreadlocks, the two, hosts, they're always sipping Starbucks coffee. He was just speechless. He didn't know what to say. Welcome back, Ice King. So real quick, I don't have time to go in depth on Ukraine and Gaza today, but you can expect that in the next stream if possible. We're obviously going to have to do an Argentina stream now to make up for me embarrassing myself. Feels like half of you left after I embarrassed myself that way. Meatball called me out, and you guys, I'm disgusted with this so-called journalism. I'm going to go to Vosh. This discount Vosh doesn't do it for me. But this, I think, was posted by Woke Patriot or some other amazing person in the Discord. If you remember who it was, please let me know. But really shocking stuff when you look at the numbers. The accusation against the IDF is that they intentionally target journalists. And they say, no, how dare you? How dare you? It's all accidents. It's all accidents. Doesn't matter that they're driving vehicles clearly marked as press. Doesn't matter that they're wearing outfits that say press. I've become right wing. I no. Oh no. Maybe anarcho-capitalism is the way to go, guys. Maybe it is the way to go. It was extra embarrassing because I went into that whole, Steinbeck thing. So it's doubly embarrassing. So I'm definitely gonna have to lick my wounds there with my hour-long Argentina economy special that we're definitely 100% gonna have to do. It's embarrassing. It is. But no. So it's pretty irrefutable that the IDF is 100% intentionally targeting journalists, like I said, that are clearly labeled as journalists. These guys are shooting through sniper rifles where you could see the insignia on their button. It's like you can get really close. We're talking extremely expensive hardware. And highly trained IDF soldiers who know exactly how to use long-range snipers. And of course we see drone attacks, like I said, on clearly marked vehicles that say press. Oh, well, Hamas is using those. I'm not disagreeing with that, but that's not our problem. That's the problem with the IDF. If they want to claim they're a moral army, if they want to claim that they're not killing journalists, which they do, and they're lying. They're just lying. So look at the stats right here. Once again from Twitter, so God help me. Meatball furiously typing into the Google, making sure these numbers are correct. And once again, Meatball, if you're still here doing that, thank you. I like being called out. I like making sure I'm accurate. I like that. But let's go ahead and just assume these numbers are correct, like the idiots that we are. Second World War has killed 69 journalists in 6 years. Wow, only 69 in World War II. Vietnam has killed 63 journalists in 20 years. Well, that's actually amazing. You would think so many would, only 60, less than 100 in both major conflicts. Then in Gaza, in the course of 50 days, 67 journalists. And of course, the bad actors would say, oh, a lot of these guys aren't just journalists. They'll put on a press jacket and take some photos, and then they'll take off their press jacket and pick up a weapon and start fighting for Hamas. And I'm certain, because a lot of these guys are, from the Gaza Strip, and I'm certain some of these guys, do double duty, and that, because the fact that they're in an open air prison changes the dynamics of, how you resist and how you fight back. That does not make, it's still not a legitimate excuse to intentionally target, snipe, and blow up press. it does give you the right to accost them, right? To say, hey, show me your credentials. Who are you? You know, you're driving around in this press vehicle. We're stopping you to see if you got weapons in it, right? Kind of suspicious. You're driving back and forth. That's all legitimate. It still doesn't give you the right to shoot a goddamn multi-million-dollar missile into a vehicle clearly marked press. Wonder how much harder it would be to track that during World War II, though. Not that hard. There's, you know, I would say, you know, the World War II was documented immaculately. You know, from a multitude of sides. Treasure troves of data. All right, so this, unless this is AI, this is not fake news, even though it is on Twitter. But here is a State Department representative. You know, I don't even know why we bother with this anymore. With these characters, they by default lie, they by default spin, by default obfuscate, and tell us, you know, the opposite of what is true. They do it with a straight face, and if we push back on them, oh, are you being uncouth? Are you being rude? Are you being rude? Excuse me, I'm just trying to justify the horrendous actions of the State Department. Are you being rude? It's a really unique and interesting dynamic where we have to pretend like this is somehow legitimate in any kind of way. But yeah, here's this. What I can't even remember which horrible thing he's justifying. Which one is it?
You have any reason to believe that the IDF claims more?
Right. Yeah. So this has to do with Israel and Gaza.
Sorry, on this, you have any reason to believe that the IDF claims more credible than the MSF claim?
So both things can be true. What MSF claimed was that he was a doctor who was a member of MSF.
Right. So this is about the doctor that Israel killed, this head doctor. Israel claims he was a rocket maker, that he was manufacturing rockets for Hamas on top of his doctor duties. They've presented this evidence with zero. I mean, they presented this with zero evidence. They don't have a single, you know, trust us, you know, just trust us, just trust us. You know, exactly the way the United States did it when we took out a whole family. Oh, there was a bunch of terrorists in there. Trust us. Oh, yeah, we had data. We had data. Trust us. No follow-up, you know, 6 years later. Oh, that investigation we did into the wrongdoing that, oh, yeah, we were innocent. They were all terrorists. Meanwhile, eyewitness reports are like, yeah, there was no terrorism. It was a wedding party. We were all chilling. And then all of a sudden, hellfire rained down, and a bunch of us were dead seconds later. A bunch of us are terrorists now, by the way. Same shit. Same exact shit with the United States. Oh, wait and see on the investigation. Kill. Oh, we're keeping track of it. Don't worry. We keep ourselves accountable.
Okay. What Israel claimed is that
that's wrong?
No, I'm not saying that's wrong. What Israel claimed is that he was a doctor who was a member of MSF who was also a terrorist involved in Palestinian Islamic Jihad's rocket program. My point is, neither of those are United States verified information.
Right,
so when I get asked about
the IDF claim, but he was a doctor and he was also involved in Hamas's missile program,
rocket program. Yeah.
How?
I don't know that, but that goes to my.
The IDF tell you?
They put out a statement on this. This goes to my exact point that you see claims made by various parties on the ground, and then oftentimes you see conflicting claims made by the IDF. We will reach out to our Israeli partners about this.
But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and the State Department is going to repeat the lie that this guy was making rockets, and the mainstream media is going to repeat what we said about this guy making rockets, and then you watch a report on Morning Joe, and it's like Gazan doctor who was also a confirmed member of the Hamas rocket team. Meanwhile, it's literally just some shit someone from the Israeli government made up. And they were asked, okay, do you got proof? Yeah, we're working on that. In the meantime, trust us, bro. And the mainstream media trusted. Oh, yeah, we got legitimate sources. What do you mean? What are you talking about? It's all legitimate. And it comes so quickly. Like the next day, you're talking about something else completely, right? This was a blip, this assassination of this major doctor that was like, you know, really popular, a big part of the medical system. He's gone. One more pillar of the Gazan health system destroyed. And, oh, yeah, he was terrorist. Yeah, we'll get back to you. Okay, moving on.
Hold on. We will reach out to our Israeli partners for more information about these. But oftentimes when I'm asked for definitive conclusions about the specifics of a strike, we are operating on incomplete information. And that's why as frustrating as it is why I can't offer a definitive conclusion about any one strike.
In history where
And so, like, once again, I mean, that's one thing to say, oh, we want to confirm it first before we put our weight behind it. Well, that's okay. But the problem is that, like I said, it's assumed as truth. Or, and like I said, quietly a correction will come out. Oh, by the way, but, like I said, they'll conclude these investigations, find that they did no wrongdoing, and it'll be a blip in the AP, 9th page down. Oh, yeah, the IDF released a statement about the crimes they committed 6 months ago. Totally guilty. Moving on. You're like, oh, yeah, crimes of 6 months ago. What are you even talking about? The cavalcade of crimes. In a way, it's a kind of Gish Gallop, right? An atrocity Gish Gallop. It's 2.5 hours. I don't have time to talk about the Supreme Court today. I'm sorry. I gotta go. I got a child I need to take care of. I'm a dad. Sorry. Long and short of it, the Supreme Court's completely fucking our lives up. Homelessness is a crime. Bribery is okay. Companies can pollute all they want, and the government is powerless to stop them. Long and short of it is the right-wing activist Supreme Court is, going right along with this plan to disassemble democracy. But there you go. People seem to not be commenting and chatting anyway. I think I've embarrassed myself enough today. But wow, 27 viewers, really? I can't believe it. Mr. Meatball, you're still here? Master Meatball, you're still here? I'm actually shocked. It would be perfectly justified for Master Meatball to leave, calling me an idiot and a bad actor for spreading misinformation, not vetting his sources, but he stuck around. So big props to Master Meatball. All you viewers, I don't normally go down the viewer list, but I got to thank everybody here. 27 viewers, thank you. Kanye West, Vizon, Big Room, Strategy Member, Stickers for Cookers. Zavi Show, Ribbons, Rebel Phoenix, Pan the Man is still here? What are you doing here, man? Oh my God, Sticks, Ms. V, Master Meatball, Krayla Xanath, Kem Goblin, Villaric, Irony, Daniel Blitt, Chaddick, Biggles Brown Trouser, and Benny Hill still here. Wait, what the hell? Wow. I'm honored. I really am. No, I assume you guys are playing video games or something. I'm not seeing a lot of chat activity. But I got to say, thank you so much for your support of the News Underground. Thank you so much for supporting, abandoned nihilism and, and all that shit. I don't deserve you. I really don't. You guys are great. Kem Goblin, you're the best. Thank you for coming in and sticking around. Our friend from Ukraine. We're going to be doing more Ukraine in the next stream. I think next stream it's going to be Supreme Court, Gaza, and Ukraine. I think we're going to maybe do Ukraine first, Supreme Court, then Gaza. That sounds like a good order. All right, folks. I got to get back to my son. I love him so much. He's the most important thing in my life. But big props to everybody here. Gaza first. You're so selfless, Kem Goblin. You're always saying that. You're always asking if we're covering Ukraine. Hey, are we going to do other topics? So big props to Kem Goblin for being a selfless Ukrainian. Thank you. Strength of the Ukrainians inspires me on a daily basis. Triforce of news. It's the news bukkake. Ew. But no, props to everybody here. Let's not forget the solution to all this bullshit is actually really simple. It's called political activism. Step 1, inform yourself. You're doing it right now. Step 2, join a political organization. I prefer progressive, but you do you, boo. But put your name down into a political organization. Maybe it's single payer health care. Maybe it's a union. Maybe it's a politician that you think can really switch things up. Put your name down and volunteer. Step 3, you got to put in the work. And once a month, you have to ask yourself, what am I doing for the political movement of my choice? You're not going to fix everything, but you can be part of that change. And really, honestly, if 20% of lefties had this mentality and walked the walk, we would have a revolution. I'm not even talking 30%. I'm not even talking 50%. I'm talking 20% of people who agree with progressive change, making political activism, part of their life, making it into a lifestyle, we would have a revolution. That's how unconnected, that's how disassociated current politics is with the actual reality of people who want change, the amount of people who want change. So follow my 3-step program. It's the only thing that's ever worked, as your boy Clutch Cargo likes to say. Peace to that motherfucking Middle East and glory to the Ukrainian democracy. We're going to see you next time. Thank you, Funk Origins. Soul Dare and DJ Smokey, land of the funk. Cook and swoop, cook and swoop, cook and swoop, cook and swoop, cook and that DJ Smokey. Soul Dare. January 4th, by the way. July 4th, I mean. The UK elections. July 4th, coming up this Thursday. I'll be covering it. Guaranteed. I'll be covering it come hook or by crook. Might be doing a special babysit. I'm going to be babysitting my kid.
Damn, son.
And watching the fucking UK elections stream.
Stay alive.
We'll see. It's happening. I don't care what happens. I'm covering that election. Peace out, folks. Have a good day. Land of the funk. Land of the funk. Land of the funk. Don't forget my social medias. I don't know. Here, I don't have the link. I'm too lazy to get it. Search bowel infection on TikTok and I'll come right up. Search stubbed toe on Instagram and I'll come right up. If you search brain tumor on YouTube, I'm the first search result.